I believe that I am the best person for the job of President of the United States. My unique talents give me the ability to be assertive and diplomatic at the same time. I'm a person who will spike the conversation, who will get politics rolling and stimulate new questions and new answers to our current political dilemma facing our nation. I believe I have a keen understanding of the economy and how to improve where we're at relative to other nations around the world. I believe that our goal at America's Third Party was to create a very strong platform in which would propel the American people forward with new opportunities and a new possibility of creating a better nation, a cleaner environment, and less war. I believe that I am the best person for the job of President of the United States. My unique talents give me the ability to be assertive and diplomatic at the same time.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to America's Third Party. I'm David Sponheim, and today is Wasteful Wednesday. Welcome. Every day has a theme. Technology Thursday, Freedom Friday, Sustainability Saturday, and Sanctuary Sunday. I never had a 7-day show for a long time. We just did 5 days a week, 6 to 8, 6 to 9, 6 to 10. Then we expanded out. We've been doing this for 12 years now. More people wanted to see our show, and the more I was seen, the more likely I'll be getting my message out there, so makes sense. We've got a lot of things going on that are not really copacetic. You've got our government right now trying to extend another $1 trillion stimulus plan, and they want to cut people on unemployment down in wages. Some Republicans are talking about $100 a week, others are saying $200 a week. But there's really no more money for the average people. Homeless people, there's no money. Yeah. And this fixation on unemployment is absurd. Our country is shut down. Our president said, I shut down the greatest economy in the world. They told me to shut it down, so I shut it down. What the hell? All they have to do is start the economy back up. And people, fiscal conservatives like Ted Cruz, who I like, by the way, I like Ted Cruz. He's supporting what I think is a sober reality, that we have to get the economy going, not keep throwing stimulus bills at people. That's just putting us deeper and deeper into debt. And Ted Cruz needs to get all those Tea Party people back together, because clearly Trump is not a Tea Party guy. And Trump is behind this plan to put a $2 billion FBI headquarters built out of this money. And a lot of Republicans are going, what? Why are you sticking a $2 billion FBI building into this deal? $2 billion to build a new FBI building. I mean, is that important right now? Well, apparently the FBI has been covering up a lot of stories, so I guess they want payback. All these stories that are probably very relevant to the truth about Ghislaine Maxwell, all these stories that are relevant to the pedophile networks in Washington, D.C. The FBI stands basically as a buffer for a lot of these secret people that are getting away with this. And our government's not really getting a full measure out of the FBI. And that much, I think the Republicans have made very clear. Their behavior with Trump was clearly partisan. William Barr, who's testifying just yesterday, was clearly partisan. He was the most partisan person, William Barr, our Attorney General, when he exonerated Donald Trump with 448 pages of evidence against Trump. But William Barr just kind of let him off. And then he said he wasn't going to make this his job a partisan job, that he wasn't going to politicize it. That's all he did was politicize it. He is the biggest deep state player out there, William Barr. And we've got other things going on right now that just don't make a lot of sense. They took a very valuable drug off the market, and I think you know what I'm talking about, that was extremely helpful. It helped people for 60 years. No problems with the drug. And then a group of doctors came out and put a story together of their own experience with that drug. And apparently it cured people 100% of the time, that drug did. But all because Donald Trump made a big deal about the drug, and then all of a sudden some Democrats said, oh no, this is going to hurt people. They ran with a story from a false study about this drug. And the false study has already been, it's a Lassiter study that was already proven to be not true. Yet the FDA pulled the drug from the market, and this is a valuable drug that treats COVID-19. Okay? Well, we're not able to get it now. Some people are getting it, but we're not. So we have a real problem now. Our government, under the Democrats, are preventing a very valuable drug that will help prevent death from a disease that's striking various parts of the country. That's a significant thing. They call that aiding and abetting a murder. That's what the Democrats are doing by keeping valuable medicine off the market. They're ostensibly murdering people. And also, Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx have a standing order right now to put COVID-positive people in nursing homes. Now, does that make any sense to any of you that we'd put COVID-positive people, that we should put them in a nursing home, where all these poor people are in the 24% category of dying from getting near that disease? I would think the last place we put a COVID-positive person is in a nursing home. So that too is murder. And that's going on right now as we speak. Now, what I do when I spray my face is I've got this new spray bottle that gives me a hydration during the show so that I feel fresh, I'm energized. Now, I've been doing a show for 35,000 hours, way beyond Jerry Lewis and his telethons. And I even did a show 71 days straight, 14 hours a day recently, when we thought that this COVID thing would be the end of it. But no, Trump never stopped saying we're shutting down the economy. He kept the economy shut down. He never got us back to normal. So I've been now thinking we have to really spearhead a brand new party, a brand new plan, the Let's Get Back to Normal plan. And this third party can be a way we as Americans can start to unite. Work our way through our differences. Now, I've been a Democrat for years, but I can see the point a lot of Republicans are making about the rule of law. And I see the point about the country's ultimate Second Amendment needs, because we've got tyrannical people in government right now that think they can take away our right to bear arms, which means they can overtake us as the American people. So I stand behind our Bill of Rights. I don't think that Trump and Biden do. I really don't. Where can you purchase my facial spritzer? Well, you know, I'm kind of working different fruit enzymes. I've got this one right now, which is a hemp oil fruit enzyme I picked up. I collect fruit enzyme sprays, different varieties. It's weird. I picked this one up at Trader Joe's. They sell a watermelon one. I haven't even tried it. And all you need is a little bit of, like just a teeny amount of that stuff, and then you fill it up with purified water. And it really helps. It really makes you feel fresh, especially on a hot day. I don't see how anyone could go without this. And then Misanthropy suggested these bottles as opposed to the plastic, which I had. This is my hand sanitizer. I make a natural hand sanitizer out of hydrogen peroxide and black tea and witch hazel. That works the best. And the witch hazel kind of makes it slippery, and they say that's how that breaks up viruses. It's all natural. You know, I'd even spray it in my nostrils. I'd be able to breathe it. David, all the videos of COVID patients are obese. It is an attack on fat people. They know that people who have lots of sugar intake are hit the hardest. You really still like Trump, really? Wow. Okay, well, you guys are hardcore Trump supporters. I don't want to take your vote away. If you want to vote for Trump, that's fine. I definitely don't think Biden is competent to stand as our president. I don't think Trump is either, but that's your choice. I have a clearance bin water? Yeah. Well, I look for deals. I go to places. This was resold. This hemp oil spray that I picked up was resold at a place that buys stuff and sells it. It was a resale. It was normally like a $12 or $18 bottle. I got it for $2.99. I got 2 bottles like this with a little funnel for $6 on Amazon. So that was a good deal. $6 for 2 bottles. Very cool. I like the bottle better. Yeah, you can spray it anywhere you want, Ace. Yeah. You decide where you spray this. You take charge of your own body. It's about the only thing you can do is spray yourself. Hey, some of you want to live a sustainable life. And we have a link here that was brought to us by one of our iVlog viewers. iVlog is another show, by the way. You can watch this at coolrock.com. You can watch our iVlog show. Yes, hello there. My Beautiful Cats is in. Hello. But this link came from someone who's in iVlog earlier. I don't really see it here. Oh, yes. Riverside Man brought us this link. This has got to be the most expensive tiny house out there. I mean, I could buy a really nice house for $115,000, okay? Yeah, let me pull this down. $115,000, this minimalist house has unveiled its latest tiny home on wheels built on its Magnolia base. Starts at $97,000 with a full build-up at $115,000. It has a kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, storage loft, and living room that doubles as a workspace. All right, so you're liking the tiny house life. It's pretty cool inside. I got to tell you, that's really about the highest end tiny house I've ever seen. But then I take $115,000 and I go, wait a second. We've got a breaking news here. Hang on. I'm going to go look for what I can get for $115,000 in terms of house. Okay? We're talking about cutting back on waste, and for me, $115,000 for a tiny house is a waste. Sorry. Whoa.
Good morning, folks. First after up in the line, Triffy News Shopper just arrived downtown Tempe. A train derailment on the bridge that goes over the Tempe Town Lake on fire, and what's really on fire is a car of lumber, and there's lumber in the Tempe Town Lake. There's lumber on the bridge, the whole bridge, most of the bridge on fire. It's working its way back to the rest of the train. We have some tanker cars down there that fell off of the bridge.
Wow, this is not fun over Tempe Town. Yeah, this is a derailment. I assume that's Arizona. Tempe Town. Okay. I'm going to put that in the lineup tonight. Yeah, that's a serious fire going on today in the news. So now I'm going to take a look at, just out of curiosity, I use a program called Zillow. I also use another program called Trulia to look for property. And I'm going to look for property in kind of a cool area. If you're in the New York area, a lot of people move to South Carolina. But instead of South Carolina, I'm going to maximize my profit for potential and go to North Carolina. Yeah. I know this is not what you thought we were talking about tonight, politics. I'll get to that in a little bit. But I'm going to put in $115,000 max and see what pops up. And I'm going to put a minimum, because I want to find something really nice, a minimum of $100,000. Now, believe it or not, that's going to find you one heck of a nice house. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up for 4 bedrooms and 4 and 3 baths. which I think is an adequate size. Okay, but I'm not done there. I really do think for $110,000, I want to get a pool too. $115,000. There's nothing there. Okay, the pool took it out. All right, I've got to pull down my pool. Okay, there's a couple houses there. Let's take a look. $2,000 square foot house for $110,000. Look at that. Now, wouldn't you rather live in that than a tiny house? Let's take a look. Going inside, yeah, you got that old feeling of well-built, sturdy. Paneling can always be painted. Nice clean rooms with Berber carpeting. Nice blue bathtub and a blue toilet. Isn't that cool? Yeah, see? Wasteful Wednesday, we talk about all the value. Look at all the space you're going to get. I am paying attention to chat. I am currently running a process of discovery. They've kept this place nice. It's got Corian countertops, big master bedroom, an open format. Everything looks prepped and ready to go. Why would you spend $110,000 when you can get 2,000 square feet on a house? I rest my case. Thank you. Back to you in the show. I'm an alpha male. I never posed for a Playgirl magazine. That's not true. Yeah, wasn't that fun? Now you know what you can get for $115,000. A really, really nice tiny house with hardly any space, or a massive home with a big yard. It would be better than a trailer with a leaky roof. That's true. Oh yeah, you could put tarps on roofs and bitch and complain for 5 or 6 years. There's a way of fixing roofs on trailers that's very effective. Yeah, it's a rubber product. They put it on roofs in Arizona. It works great. You just keep slapping on this rubber layer. It seals everything. Cool seal. That's what you know. Dave's Pity Party knows. Yeah, you don't have to worry too much about a roof once you get ahead of it with an RV. They say they're really, they are weak, but once you get ahead of the roof, you have to stay on it. Look for any leaks when you wash it. Yeah, otherwise you will have a problem on your hands. Yeah, those utility trailers, some people swear by them. If you go right now, you can get a Trailers Plus trailer. I was looking at one the other day. It's pretty cool. Yeah, you can get a really nice load runner cargo container. One of these things costs about $6,000. You can pay half of that for a little bit smaller. You get it for about $4,000 now. Almost half of that. But yeah, this is a utility trailer that's readily available. It's a Faraday cage. It has the ability to have all metal around it. All Faraday cages are protecting of dangerous radiation. So I've seen people take a 6x12 like that and put a living room in it, and a bed, and a kitchen. I'm serious. No, there are people that live in these things. And if you're solo on the road and you got a truck, I'd be doing it. I would. It's a stealth vehicle. Nobody thinks you're going to be sleeping in it. Some people put windows in it. A couple windows is all you need on both sides. But yeah, these things are actually pretty cool. And they are brand new. They're built brand new. It's not like you're buying a used old trailer for like $3,000 to $6,000. You could, basically customize it to do whatever you want. Very well built and very sturdy. Okay, federal officers are going to pull out of Portland in a major reversal for the Trump administration. I don't know if he's listening to me or not, but I tweeted today that I think he should pick me as his VP. And I'm pretty sure we can beat Biden and Kamala Harris, because they say Kamala Harris is going to be his VP pick, because Biden can't remember anybody else. Every day they've been saying, okay, Joe, who's the VP pick? Kamala Harris. Okay, good. Joe's he's got a person who comes over with his words and helps him with his words. Yeah. But if Trump wanted to, pick me as a VP, I'm ready to go. He feels like he needs to relax, He just kick back, Donald. I'll take it from where, if you want to relax during the campaign, pick me as your VP. I'll take the lead. I'll do the hard stump speeches, and we'll be on track with your plan. Yeah. So go ahead and do that. It'll be the first time in American history that an average American gets a chance to actually become a leader. Think about that. Think about the selling feature. I mean, it would be a wonderful thing for your campaign. It might just arouse a lot of people in the Democratic Party, centrists, independents. Think about it. No, that was not a fixer-upper for $115,000. You are incorrect, sir. Yeah, the Jim Jordan video I played last night, Steve-O, let me check the volume on it. The ongoing Barr testimonies is really interesting. I understand Mark Zuckerberg, other people.
More than 1 billion users across 6 products, including browsers, smartphones, and digital maps. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, these corporations already stood out as titans in our economy. In the wake of COVID-19, however, they're likely to emerge stronger and more powerful than ever before. As American families shift more of their work, shopping, and communication online, these giants stand to profit. Locally owned business.
Okay, so we'll take it to 15 minutes in. That's a big video. Okay, we'll cue it up for Jim Jordan.
Full committee are going to have this Congress, but I want to thank Jim for his great work for the constituents of.
Okay, so this is where I'll start tonight. Okay, I'm going to cue that up for tonight. Thank you. Important questions to ask Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Tim Cook, the people that are architects of what appears to be a social credit network that's modeling itself after China. I wonder if they're going to ask the important questions. We will find out. So yeah, federal officers are pulling out of Portland, but my idea was to let the Portland mayor handle the whole thing. I said that last week. Trump brought people into Portland. I was going, why are you doing that? Portland's the only city that's really handling their problem pretty well. So now the federal officers are pulling out. This is a good sign that Trump may be listening to me. We're trying to avoid a New World Order governance takeover. And the Trump Gestapo units that were going in there makes no sense. And it also appears to be illegal that they don't even tell you who they are when they're beating you up. Yeah, now he's bored. He can kick back. He doesn't have to be, Mr. Wonderful all the time. He can enjoy some of the, Golden Girls episodes that he likes to watch. He can eat cheeseburgers. And I'll lead the country in the campaign in the next 2 months. So it'll take me about a week to get to the White House, but once I'm there, I could get clearance. I can get right in. Yeah. If they want to let me, become the vice president of the United States, I think I'm ready to go. I take a week to drive. I'm not going to fly. I don't trust planes. Not right now. I don't need to worry about closing the tabs. And I don't need you in the room either. I found a way to cut back on my RAM usage. There's Ron helped me with this, Ron Hilton. Hey Ron, how are you? He's here on time. Yeah, I used to protect a similar to Cool Seal's years. Oh, you did Cool Seal on your rental trailer? I coated me roof with it, no leaks after 10 years. Yeah, exactly. You just slap another coat of that stuff on there. What I'm going to do, if I ever have a trailer like that, I'm going to actually cover it with EMF rated sealant, which has nickel in it. An EMF will block any EMF signals in the roof area, which is the one weak point about a lot of those aluminum sided trailers that you get are very durable, and they are Faraday cages except for the roof. So I'm going to get an EMF rated thing and cover a roof if I get a trailer like that. You saw somebody holding Biden by the arm today, hurriedly escorted him to the car so he could not have to say much. No kidding, really? You saw a video of that? Wow, Ron. Well, anyway, governance in an area like this, allowing people to have their freedom, not being a goon squad and taking people in civilian cars and arresting people for no reason, like the Portland federal Gestapo agents were doing yesterday and the day before. That would be a big step in the right direction. I think appeasing the people who are rioting right now can only be done with a good, solid plan. Yeah. Now, obviously, getting back to normal is still a big part of what I'm proposing. And that plan will help get these people back to a normal life, although none of them have a normal life. So let's assume they're going to be spending all their time protesting. We do know that. So defunding the police is clearly one of the ways we can do this. So getting them a defunding plan or sensitivity training, which I'd prefer. Keep the amount of money coming into the cities as long as they do sensitivity training. That'll change the dimension of this potential crisis that we're having across the country. BLM just needs a something. They need a bone thrown their way. Now, I don't think BLM is anything but a terrorist group myself, but they are pretending to be legitimate protests at the grassroots level, even though they're getting funding from the Muslim Brotherhood. That's serious, but in no way can I really deny them something, and Trump is giving them nothing. So I'm thinking of a plan to start with a modern day plan to start giving people a 4-day course, a personality exam to determine if they're safe to be cops. If not, we give them a desk job. A shoot to maim policy. We'll still have the shoot to kill policy, but if a person were to grab for a pocket when somebody said keep your hands up and they go like that, shoot to maim, not kill. But if there's a gun present in the picture that you're looking at and you're a cop and they're reaching for their gun, you can shoot to kill. That alone will save a lot of lives, believe it or not. Most of the deaths that have occurred per year, 1,000 people die a year, and half of them are not even armed. Most of those deaths are mostly people just grabbing some multi-tool or something in their pocket, or their lighter or something, or their registration, or not hearing the person. Hearing problem. A person's pulled over, he's deaf, he can't hear somebody saying put your hands up. That would explain why they put their hand in their pocket, right? To get their registration. Boom, they're dead. That's not something that needs to happen. No, I don't plan on testing them every year. I believe that we'll keep up with a testing plan for anybody who's a new recruit, and also somebody who's had a couple of incidences that are questionable. Even after they pass the personality exam, we'll run them through the ringer. Then we'll give them their papers. If they continue to misbehave and beat up people, we will ask them to leave. Oh, that's okay. I've never been in combat. No, I never have. No, I'm not an imbecile, actually. I'm a genius. I have an IQ of 185, tested. Yeah, but the deal is, I don't even know how you got in here with a name like that. I'm going to pull you out. The deal is, the encounter a person has to be rethought. We need to work out new protocols, because clearly what we have now is failing. Clearly. We better stock up now. There's essential professional recycled Scott rolls of toilet paper going for $39 right now. Yeah, see, this is weird. I went to Costco a week or so ago, and I couldn't believe it. They were sold out of toilet paper yet again. Now, one roll of Scott selling for $39.85, but you get free shipping. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is 83 rolls. Oh, that's cool. 80 rolls for $39. That's not bad. It's not bad. It's not good. You can get them for 23 at retail stores, but whatever. David, why are people not allowed to say all lives matter? They are allowed to say that. If Black Lives Matter people get in your face and kill you like they did that innocent woman that had a daughter or had a little boy, 3-year-old boy, and he doesn't have a mom now, because she simply said all lives matter, and then she walked around the corner, and then they stalked her, and a group of flash mob people killed her. I do like people that disagree, I do. But you're trying to denigrate me, claiming I'm some sort of an idiot when it comes to personal encounters with physical violence. I've been living in one of the most difficult cities in the world for 35 years of my life. I grew up in Los Angeles, California, the city. My name's David. I'm not a cop. My whole life was all about evading violence. Up until I guess 1993, when I moved out of Los Angeles, right after the LA riots. I was driving down the street 1 week before Reginald Denny had his head caved in. I was driving down Florence and Normandy, doing a delivery in that area. I know exactly where he had his head caved in. It could have been me. I was approached many times by numerous gangs, mostly black and Hispanic, threatening to kill me. I've been in so many situations involving violence, it's almost laughable to think that I'm not a seasoned veteran of violence. I am. That doesn't make me a pansy or a weakling or a person who's never faced combat overseas. I've faced the worst kind of combat. Metropolitan living. Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen. And I want all of you people who live in the metropolitan area to develop situational awareness, because I wouldn't be alive right now if I did not have situational awareness. No, I don't. I've been attacked by people of color, of minority status for my entire life, but I don't carry that hatred that so many of you have with me. I've conquered racial bias. I'm seeking to get many of you people to calm down a little bit, because you're ready to start firing people who you don't even know and have no clue if they're a danger to you. So without years of experience, I wouldn't have the ability to teach you how to do this. So you're very lucky to have me here. A lot of you people think kicking ass is the only way to survive in this world. Well, maybe if it comes down to it, possibly true. But there's a flight response, or a freezing response, or basically a fight, flight, or freeze response that all of us go through if we're in danger. And if you go for the fight response, it's actually your odds of getting hurt seriously much higher with the fight response. The flight response is actually your safest bet, just to get the hell out of there. Get in the car, close your door, and drive out of there.
There's 4.
Oh, what's the fourth? Oh, actually, let me bring you in. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, there's flight, fight, freeze, and appease.
Appease. Well, I've always thought appease was like freeze. So.
Well, it's beyond freezing, because freezing is just like you can't talk to the
right.
person won't talk.
Okay.
And I've done that. But appease is like, whatever you want, I'll do whatever you want.
That's the fourth category. Yeah, I always thought that was freezing, but that's okay. I'm going to go with your idea.
Freezing. Freezing
I know.
is like playing dead.
You're right. Technically, you're right. Okay, we're going to pause the show for Sarah's break time, and I'll be back in just a bit. Hello, everybody. Back to the show. We're right back in the thick of things. Everyone's wondering how the world will be with all this COVID spacing and everything, and the media ramping up all kinds of stories of the numbers getting bigger and bigger without ever recognizing the story out of Florida and out of Connecticut, where they're rigging the numbers of people with COVID. No acknowledgement by our government that the data has been falsified. The Trump never ever said anything about that. He talks about maybe making more pharmaceuticals in the United States. That was my idea 10 years ago. I mean, he's talking about my ideas 10 years ago instead of talking about the current relevant issue of falsified data at the CDC. We don't bear any of the debt the United States has. None of us do. The United States Corporation is a corporation. It was created in 1871. The United States of America was created in 1787 with a constitution written at that time. The United States of America was bankrupted in March 9th of 1933. So the United States of America has been gone for a long time. Welcome back. We're going to go into the other room now and talk about that. Okay, I am David Sponheim, and you can write my name in the upcoming election if you so choose. I have a vision for America to go back to what we used to have. United States of America is a country that could very well be returned to normal. Back in March 1933, our country was put in bankruptcy. At that time, they had created a legal entity called the United States, all in caps, a corporate name for the United States. You think it's the same company, but it's not. It's different. We acquired the operational duties of running the country out of a new location, Washington, D.C. Around 1871, that started happening. They built up this United States corporation to be able to handle the affairs of the United States of America. But the United States of America is still a legal entity and could be brought back from the old days. Now, what has to happen for that to happen is we have to get the really bad people out of Washington. We have to clean out all of the corporate piggies that are trying to profit from every little last detail. The kind of people that, schmooze with the Rockefellers, like William Gates Sr., Billy Gates' dad. All these people have been nesting in our government and controlling the outcome of every election and borrowing money from our United States debt. The United States debt could very easily be resolved through bankruptcy, Chapter 11. We bankrupt the United States and we bring back the United States of America. Now, the United States of America will be a brand new entity that will be able to have its own bank. It'll have an infrastructure bank very similar to the Federal Reserve. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve will be eventually phased out. Not right away, but phased out once they've got all their debt obligations met and they can go back to the World Bank and camp out. We will need all of the money in reserve for us that's currently being held by the World Bank, all the proceeds from the many wins that we had in World War II against the Japanese and the Germans. That's all been stored for us in Belgium at the World Bank headquarters. They hold our gold reserves, and whenever we need money, like right now with the stimulus, the Federal Reserve is taking out a maximum of $6 trillion in debt load during this time period. Pelosi's already pulling $3.2 trillion out with this new stimulus plan. I think Biden will sniff Kamala Harris when he gets near her. I think it's going to be comical to see them on stage when he's like constantly fawning over her, even though he's married. It'll be funny. And she's got that history of having done sexual favors in California to move up in the scales. Yeah, so it's like, wow, really? We already have a pimp as a president with Trump and his family line of prostitution. With Trump International Hotel, that he never sued the Trump International firm, which was running an escort service out of that hotel. So I'm going to assume that he was involved in that. But then we'd have a prostitute with someone else, So moving on, these people who've been nesting in our government will really want to take control over operations. For instance, right now, the Goldman Sachs makes 6% every time we borrow money from the World Bank. Pretty good deal, huh? We borrow trillions, they get 6%. Yeah, that's a lot of money. $60 billion. Goldman Sachs is cleaning up on every trillion we make or we borrow. Anyway, it's not just Goldman Sachs. Morgan Stanley is making money on the food stamps, 6%. Every time you spend money on food stamps, 6% of the money that's allocated for you actually goes to Morgan Stanley. Same with welfare. Welfare and Social Security are both handled by JP Morgan, which is amazing. They're handling this money and making 6% all over the place. We are literally bleeding out to these corporate piggies that are dining on the last vestiges of our country's budget. That's what's happening. Meanwhile, these guys have a master plan. You see, David Rockefeller's father, John D. Rockefeller, he had a big plan. He killed 100 million people in 1918 with bad vaccinations. Yeah, so they've been nesting in power and they're controlling everything and they have a big plan. It's not pretty either. They're going to try to repeat what they did in 1918 in the U.S. That's what the swine flu was about. They tried to engineer a vaccine for the swine flu, which ultimately ended up killing 600,000 people with the swine flu. And the vaccine was never really a big thing. Well, now they've got a vaccine working on COVID-19, even though it's an RNA mutating gene, which is impossible to create a vaccine. So they've got that going on. And Gates, his connection to the Rockefellers made all of this possible. Bill Gates, his son, is now the big guy who wants to stick everybody with a needle. He's got Mr. Inoculation. And even though Billy, who doesn't even have a degree in college, and they laugh about that in the back rooms, they think it's funny, Bill is actually seen as a healthcare expert. He doesn't know a thing about anything. But he's the guy that the media puts out there as the official word on vaccines. Can you imagine how mindless a media is that they give this guy a role? Now, frankly, I don't have a degree in healthcare either, and I can't really be a person who can tell you exactly what's happening. I can tell you what people are talking about. I'm more on top of it than anybody else on earth, perhaps, because of the show. But I can't give you medical advice. But this guy's literally giving people medical advice, which is illegal, and not even have a degree. All because he got a good deal with the Rockefellers. They set up a deal with IBM back when he was a young man and gave him $90 million seed money to get his operating system, which wasn't even his, it was Gary Kildall's. He got a rip-off copy of it called QDOS, purchased that, and then sold it, multiple copies of QDOS to IBM. Consequently made $90 million. So they got him, the little henchman out there, doing the dirty work that the Rockefellers did 102 years ago when they killed 100 million people around the world with bad vaccinations. Let that sink in. Yes. Now bring on the Beetlejuice. Then they've got New World Order governance people that are doing their bidding, who are literally cogs in the bureaucratic wheel, who have no clue as to what they're doing. Literally taking orders just because they want to be famous. Because I guarantee this woman couldn't even get a job at the local dollar store the way she looks. I doubt, would you buy something from her if she was sitting at the register? Would you go up to the register and buy something from her? At the dollar store, I wouldn't. I'd walk as far away from her as I could. You like Jeff Bezos' ex-wife? She donated over half her billions because she realized it helps people and doesn't need all that money. I do too, Trevor. I do too. Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, she's a real gem. Yeah, she really is. She gave up 75%. She literally took 25% in the divorce case. And only a moron attorney would put that together. I don't know what the hell happened, but Jeff Bezos managed to get 75% of the 50-50 split. That's what greed will get you. And she's not greedy. She's really a wonderful person, and I can see how her benefit, he never would have been successful without a person like her next to him. You can only imagine how corrupt a person must be to be as successful as Jeff Bezos. But look at her. She's given away $1.7 billion since her divorce. Oh, I'm sorry. I pulled myself off the screen. But she's really been a wonderful ex-wife. He was very lucky to have her. But cheating on her with Sanchez and all the aspects of that and all that led to an amicable breakup. So I like the fact that she's done that, and I think that she humbly looks at her wealth. She's one of the richest women in the world still, even with her small settlement. So, but moving on to this problem. This is a person who elevated to the highest level of their own incompetence, which is called the Peter Principle. By simply wanting to be powerful, she managed to say the right things to the right people and managed to work her way into becoming mayor of Chicago. And it's these Democratic mayors that are really the pawns of the New World Order. They're the pawns that they pushed out there whenever they want to make their big move. And she's already said that she supports global governance and the New World Order. Where the hell she's coming from, I don't know. Our country does not need global governance, and we don't need an invasion of our nation's borders. Biden represents global governance. Biden represents a new world order and a surrender of our sovereignty.
what do I do?
Well, you don't support the New World Order, that's for sure, Joe.
I can't. I can't.
Hey, the media allows Gates to spew his nonsense and censors frontline doctors who have treatments that work. No conflict there. I know, Ron. I mentioned that when I started the show. I couldn't believe how they censored all these frontline doctors. And yet we're allowing Bill Gates to talk about all the expert information he knows, and he doesn't know anything. He's not even a healthcare trained person. No, I haven't been able to find the right smells to do the Ocasio-Cortez scratch and sniff coloring book. I wasn't able to get the right kind of smells, so I'm not really sure if it would be accurate. Oh, so that photo of her is... Well, let's take a look at Jeff Bezos and his ex-wife, just out of curiosity. Mackenzie Scott. You'll notice that every single picture... Oh, you're talking about Beetlejuice. I thought you were talking about Mackenzie Scott. Oh, okay. No, that's not Photoshop. That's really her. Yeah, but Mackenzie Scott really looks about the same in almost all her pictures, for sure. She's a very attractive woman, yeah. And now one of the richest... Why don't you make an effort to get to know her online? She might respond well. You never know. She might be your soulmate. You don't even know it. Okay, we're going to drop out of this for now and go to another scene. Now, my message is about uniting the country. Now, nobody else in politics right now is working on that message. I am. I'm a fiscal conservative, much like Ted Cruz, but a social liberal, more like, well, I used to be like Biden, but not nearly as liberal as he is. Yeah. So, Biden used to be a blue dog Democrat, but not anymore, not after embracing the jihadists, the Muslim Brotherhood, and the communist takeover of our country. He's no longer a right-wing leftist. Well, I'm not, you see, Ted Cruz is more of a socially conservative guy, but there are a lot of people who like to spend money, and he's not one of them. And I like Ted Cruz because he's a fiscal conservative. Biden, I have it on record here. Someone was in the chat room earlier saying he saw Biden getting out, moving on camera. Yep. Ron saw a video of someone holding Biden by the arm today, hurriedly escorting him to the car so he could not have to say much. Yeah, they're keeping him close, and they're like moving Biden around like he's a rag doll at a nursing home. Okay, Joe, you're ready to go. You come on in. Yeah, this is for real, folks.
In the back of a freezer truck, y'all. Please stay inside. This is for real.
No, that's not for real. I don't believe it was for real. I think that was a big, huge, canned event. Later, they claimed that all of the morgues were filled up and they had vehicles outside. Some guy did a videotape of the vehicles that were all parked outside of the morgue in New York. None of the refrigerators were on. Not one single refrigerated truck was on. So what were they, putting them all in there in hot 90-degree weather? Hardly. Nobody was in there. There was no refrigerator on. We have proof of that. So we've been lied to from the beginning. All it took for our country to turn into a basket case was this video right here.
This is for real, y'all. My hand is shaking because It's hard to look at this right here, what I'm seeing right now.
Oh, yeah. One white bag being loaded into a skip loader onto a truck. That's all it took for our entire country to be shut down. I shut it down. I shut the greatest economy of the world down. They told me to shut it down, so I shut it down. Donald Trump clearly is the lowest. You don't shut down an economy, Donald. Come on, bring it back. Let's get back up and running. But he's a little detained right now. He's in the middle of a belladonic haze. He can't really spend much time talking about this. He did go on screen yesterday. I did hear him talking, but he was apologizing. And did you see the Twitter response I did today? Well, the U.S. is pulling 12,000 troops out of Germany. Why? Because Donald just doesn't want to. He wonders why we're not getting paid, because he said that they should pay us. So now he's pulling 12,000 troops out of Germany, which is a New World Order play. That's exactly what the New World Order wants. They want to weaken our NATO alliances so that they can take over. It's a very classic move, what he's doing. But what I found really weird today was I was posting things. I had a lot of posts this morning. Well, let's be clear. I talked about the pure insanity. The PCR test is 81% inaccurate. You know, the test for COVID-19. Yet the news won't say that. They won't even tell us that. Now they want to use that test on asymptomatic patients, and they won't discuss the FDA banning a cure for the disease. So they want to use the test, their COVID test, which is 81% inaccurate on people that aren't even symptomatic. So the FDA cleared the test for people that don't present any symptoms at all. Isn't that ridiculous? Without even telling people that it's 81% inaccurate. And then regarding censorship, when Twitter decided to declare what is right and wrong regarding science, it stopped being a venue for free speech. How can anyone justifiably silence professional doctors making a statement? That's exactly what Ron and I are dealing with in Scissor Fight. Hey, how you doing? That's exactly what everybody's doing, worried about it. So this is a nonstop kind of a wild wake-up call that our government won't acknowledge that the testing system is inaccurate. They want to force tests on people without symptoms. They want to shut down doctors who are gathering together on their own accord to tell people what they've experienced in the field with COVID-19. This is unprecedented. And I wrote, let's face it. Kamala Harris will be our POTUS in 6 months if the Dems vote like a herd of dementia patients. That's pretty much what we're dealing with. Because, Biden won't last more than a couple months as president. He looks like he's on his way out when you talk to him. He's like, bye-bye. Good luck. Now, these two are talking about who they're going to pick as the vice presidential running mate.
Was on those note cards, but you and I covered the White House together.
Biden's notes on Harris.
Yeah, well, Chris, the campaign is not commenting on what he might have meant, what was on those note cards, but you and I covered the White House together. We know what probably was going on here.
Now, the Democrats released an actual ad on Politico claiming that Joe Biden declared on August 1st that Kamala Harris will be his vice presidential running mate, which means they've already screwed up. They've already told the world who will be the VP. That's how completely incompetent Biden's entire administration is. His entire cabinet, everybody working with him as a committee member right now. I guess they're going to be elevated to a higher level if they get the job, but now, this is another ad regarding the recent discussion of the Republicans are having regarding unemployment increases. Ironically, I said, offering reduced unemployment compensation will only affect a few people who still qualify. The Republicans are the problem, with no mind for growth. Trump hasn't put together any growth plan, and he hasn't started our economy back up. I have to remind you of that. The Dems are destroying America, hashtag, with excess spending and borrowing. This is a losing opportunity, I wrote. These are just some of the tweets that I put out. As long as the CDC is rigging statistics and spreading irrational fear across the nation, our prognosis for surviving this hypothetical disease is not good. By the election, most of us will be too weak from oxygen depletion to support our small brains. I was trying to be funny. Now, as you know, I'm completely censored on Twitter, so even if I am funny, nobody can retweet me. And this is the shocker, okay? And I said, James Woods put this out there. I said, I would never have known this without this tweet. Even a hardcore Trump 2020 supporter like James Woods is supporting Biden? A 2017 study estimated that 3.45 million Muslims were living in the United States, about 1.1% of the total U.S. population. Big difference. Take a look at this. This is Joe Biden appeasing the Muslim population. Here we go.
Will end the Muslim ban on day one. Day one. Hadith from the Prophet Muhammad instructs, whomever among you sees a wrong, let him change it with his hand. If he is not able, then with his tongue. If he is not able, then with his heart.
Make no mistake, people. 2020 is our year.
This is a pro-Muslim video supporting Joe Biden, right? And he's in there, totally in their pocket, because guess who's
from the same root here in terms of our fundamental basic beliefs. And I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity, for being engaged, for committing to action this November. It matters. Your voice is your vote. Your vote is your voice. Muslim American voices matter. I'll be a president who seeks out and listens to and incorporates the...
Now they had to do a cut there. You see the cut? He's not talking impromptu. This guy had to be cut like 6 times just to get this video assembled.
Voices matter. I'll be a president who seeks out and listens to and incorporates the ideas and concerns of Muslim Americans on everyday issues that matter most to our communities. I will include having Muslim American voices as part of my administration.
So he wants to make Muslims part of his administration. So essentially, why is Joe Biden so pro-Muslim? It turns out most of the money that's been donated to his campaign is coming from the Muslim Brotherhood via the Black Lives Matter group and Act Blue, a conduit. They are literally taking money from foreign governments, foreign donations from Muslims to get elected, to get Joe in office. This is absolutely the first time in history we've really seen this blatant going on. It happens behind the scenes in every election, but it's blatant now with the Democrats taking that money. Does anyone know why Trump put his friend in charge of the post office and then now all overtime has been cut? I know why. Astrid, hey, how are you? I think, Astrid, by the way, I saw your video of you and your friend camping up in Sweden. That was so cute. You go, girl. But no, Biden has been Trump has put the post office guy that he has in place simply to bury the post office so that we won't be able to vote by ballot. They don't want the mail ballots to get over to anyone, especially older African Americans. Yeah, it's very sad. Good point, Astrid. Thank you. Yeah, we must embrace low IQ people like Trump. That's the backbone of our nation. I agree. You know, we're only as strong as our weakest link, and we got Trump as president, so... Things are getting weird, yeah. You think that one has to be on Twitter to see the tweets of everybody they follow at least within an hour or so when they are posted? Oh, I agree. Yep. You know, our tweet system that we have is shadow bannable, and they even put it into their bylaws at the terms of service at Twitter that they can shadow ban people within their bylaws, their terms of service. It's crazy. The new terms of service say they can shadow ban people. It's just like they're out in the open censoring everybody and anyone like Donald Trump Jr., who made a point of talking about the benefits of this alternate medication for COVID-19. You know the one I'm talking about? Everyone does. We just don't have to say it. Yeah, Donald Jr. couldn't tweet the whole day today because of Twitter. Because all he did was put a picture of a bunch of frontline doctors that claim this alternate medication is better than a vaccine. They actually don't even in any way say anything negative about the vaccine industry. They just talk about this other medication being very, very beneficial. And that's what got Donald Jr. kicked off Twitter for 12 hours. That is censorship. Yeah, tell me about it, screw loose. But him reading from a script and then not even getting this read down, look at how he stumbles 3 or 4 times, and they had to piece it together. Look at this. I mean, you'd think this would be an easy read.
But getting out the vote. Getting voices matter. I'll be a president who seeks out and listens to and incorporates the ideas and concerns of Muslim Americans on everyday issues that matter most to our communities. That will include having Muslim American voices as part of my administration.
He had to read it. You see him there? He's like, okay, I better read this now. But yeah, it's riddled with cuts.
Ideas and concerns of Muslim Americans on everyday issues that matter most to our communities. Remember, it matters. You're from the same root here in terms of our fundamental basic beliefs. And I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity, for being engaged, for committing.
For being gay? Well, I'm glad he finally came out, folks. He's gay. Yeah.
You for giving me the opportunity, for being engaged, from the same root here.
So he's gay. He's engaged? Is he going to get married soon? I am too smart. Well, the thing about it, it's not that I'm not the right guy. I am the right guy. It's just that nobody knows about me in America. 12 years of this, they've kept my name to a real small murmur. And you folks haven't really gone out of your loop to spread the word on the internet about me. And that was your choice. I asked you to, but you didn't do that. So consequently, we're not really going upstream with a paddle. We're going upstream with our fingers, paddling like this. We're not really going up against the tide of censorship with a strong force here. And that's been our problem all along. We don't have enough online presence, and we keep trying every which way. I get knocked down every way, every turn. Chat rooms are being DDoSed as we speak. People can't even get into the show. We've got a worldwide presence that's rock solid, but our national presence is still very, very small, considering I've been doing this 12 years trying to get the word out. So a lot of the people that get paid to stop me have been effective at keeping my donations to nothing, hardly. And we've been able to only keep the flotilla of free television going. Free access to video shows, streaming video. That's the only way we can keep this happening. That was my original business plan, because this isn't a business. This is a survival plan for a political movement. The thing is, I have a hard time getting past the lies that the media spins into our brain. I can't get over how many people continually think that vaccines are the way to go with this disease, and yet the message is very clear that vaccines have not been tested for safety for 30 years. They produce all kinds of bad effects, like the 496,000 kids in India that are paralyzed right now because of Bill Gates injecting them with a terrible polio vaccine over the past 15 years. But you see, that was too long of a sentence. Most people don't even understand what I'm saying. If I can't say it in 5 words, they don't get it. Vaccines are potentially dangerous. There you go. Well, when 100 million people died in 1918 from a bad vaccine the Rockefellers produced, well, that was 8 words. So I'm kind of overdosing on the words here. All right, well, let's get back into a mode of just looking at videos here. We had a couple things come in tonight. A white man went out and he encountered lots of people that were very, very prejudiced in Arkansas. And all he was doing was wearing a Black Lives Matter a sign carrying it around Arkansas. Watch a little of this. This is scary.
Have a little pride in your race, brother. What pride worldwide?
I want man. Honestly, dude, you have balls of steel because you can get hospitalized by some guys that want to beat your ass.
And finally, he got nothing but very angry people because they don't like anyone carrying Black Lives Matter, posters around in Arkansas. He claimed it was one of the most prejudiced areas of the country.
What I'm saying is exactly what they would ask me to do.
And then some transgender looking person walks up and hands him this note, and it says, "Ignore the haters, you're being peaceful, what you're doing is good, just a friendly reminder, don't give up hope." But it took a transgender young person to hand that note to him. Look at this. Oh, some of these are downright nasty.
10 minutes, I'm going to be back. You better be fucking gone.
Oh, he got nothing but hatred from everybody. So it was so nice that the transgender person came up and handed him that note, kind of encouraging him to support a terrorist organization like Black Lives Matter. Now, we looked at this tape, Antifa attempt to topple a fence that separates them and the federal agents. Now, why would Antifa be attacking a federal building if they just want to protest police brutality? Because Antifa is getting paid by George Soros to do this, to trigger federal involvement. And, of course, Trump sent in the federal goon squad when this happened. Oh, yeah, let's get an electric buzzsaw in there to break open the fence. Sure. And these people are prepared. They've got like really high-end shields. They're coming at these people with lasers, you name it. Now, Trump is pulling the federal troops out on certain conditions, but it's probably a good idea to do that because they were never even called for by the mayor. Mayor Ted Wheeler has never asked for federal troops to come in, so it's very strange that Trump would do this. And I think Portland is one of the few models of protest rallies managed properly, like a herd of Walking Dead people. But at least they've got the herd rotating around. Now, what are you going to do, David, to make this better for the people in Portland? Yeah. Well, unlike Trump, who's kind of out of it right now, he's not really that engaged, unaware that people actually really are upset about police brutality, I will come up with a plan, and I already have a plan, to create sensitivity training for police officers. And any city that does not want to do it, we would defund. So yes, I'm the creator of the Defund the Police program. I've talked about it for 12 years on our show. And I'm not trying to weaken the police departments. I'm trying to make them more effective. Many of you people who don't realize the importance of some level of brutality protection and the importance of standing up for our freedoms. Obviously, our police are not informed as to what our rights are. Many of them come up to people and say, do this, do that. And you have the right to say, what did I do? You have the right to face your accuser and ask them, what are the charges? You said you were gay. Yeah, you said you were gay. So I have to assume you are gay. And why would you lie about that? Military are not police. I agree. And they were never really trained to be this. I would not let those types of goon squad, Gestapo agents come into into retain the peace and bring back some level of civility. They can't do that with that mentality. Those goons of the goon squad are essentially tromping on everybody's rights and doing exactly what the people are assembling to stop, which is police brutality. So it's like a never-ending cycle of abuse. You got police brutality and you get people then say, we got to riot. So it's like not the way to fix this. So I have a plan, which I've laid out very clearly, and I would be working with the mayors of various cities like Portland to put together a trifold solution: food, water, and housing. Portland is a classic example of too much homelessness too long. Systemic homelessness. They're talking about systemic racism, systemic homelessness. And I've discovered there's an area right outside of where the riots have been occurring that's a perfectly good forest. So here's the rioting area in here in Portland. We simply have a bus route go up here into this forest area. And this is undeveloped forest with trails. Now we could easily go in and take a portion of this forest, even if it's right in this section right in here in Northwest Portland. Hear me out. This is not that far off what I'm talking about. We have a nice road going up to it. We would go in there. Army Corps of Engineers would go in there and build a highway, and we would develop a tiny house village that would be very, very suitable. Initially, it would be like a tent city area, but it would have the potential to be turned into a tiny house village. We would give them the funding needed to build this up. We'd also provide free food and a beverage budget to keep people hydrated, and even bring in, beer and various other things for people who are 18 or over, who want to party. I know this sounds ridiculous, but it will calm these people down. It will get them 10 miles away, 5 miles away from the center of the action. We'll maintain a bus going back and forth so people can go back into the area. We're not trying to take them out of the area. You can see there's a natural line of a trail right through here. We just cut one line right through here from the highway. And then we build all of these areas in, retaining as many trees as we can do, and build tiny house villages throughout this area, giving enough room for at least 2,000 people in the Portland area who are homeless. Initially, they would be tent cities that would be gradually, we'd start with the front, tent cities. Eventually, we'd have a tiny house village over in here. This would be a tent city in this area. All of it would come with water, power, electric, everything they need, including a septic system that's already fully developed. Now, it won't take very long to do this with the Army Corps of Engineers doing this, and we'll be able to do this for not only Portland, but every city in America to appease the people who are rebelling right now. Coupled with our sensitivity training program and the defund the police program, I think we've got a win-win situation to deal with the left. Now, as you can see, I'm not a person who's going to turn down what the left is concerned about. I'm open to listening, because I was a Democrat for years. But now that the Democrats have become like communists and socialists, they're not listening to reason. They're not listening to fiscal restraint. I didn't know I was being spammed by who? Blue Medic? I've got Blue Medic in here. What do you mean spammed? We should train police officers to command respect. The thing is, we're not... Yeah, type on one line, Blue Medic. Don't keep typing and entering. Yeah, thank you. Tom Hanks' voice is going to be added to Oakland A's artificial crowd noise. 50 years after the actor worked as a teenage hot dog vendor. Oh, that's so weird. Okay, whatever. Anyway, these ideas of building up communities is part of it. But when you look at how many policemen pull you over for going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, it's ridiculous. Do you realize that police officer is putting himself in danger when he does that? They don't know how many people are just going to pull a gun out and pop them in the head and blow their brains out. When a cop pulls you over, they're not allowed to unholster their weapon and draw it unless they're provoked. That's ridiculous. Every officer should be allowed to approach a vehicle fully armed like this. Yeah. But we won't have cops approaching vehicles all the time like we do now. I will limit funding to cities that continue traffic cop patrols. I will encourage cities that have cops on the beat that are integrated in the neighborhood and do walks through the neighborhood. I don't want cops running around in bulletproof vehicles acting like police battalions, patrolling the area. That's not the kind of meshing with society I want. I want people to be able to relate to their police officers as protectorates. And the old definition of a cop was to protect and to serve. Now it's more like to inflict harm and to kill. Yes, we will all be ignoring you soon, Blue Medic, if you continue doing that. You think Blue Medic 2 is Antifa? Wow. That's weird. Well, I didn't realize that Blue Medic 2 had been taken over by Antifa. So his voice was used as part of the come on here, rooted in Oakland. There he is, handing out hot dogs. I don't believe Tom Hanks ever did this, but whatever. Just like I think that Tom Hanks is Michael Rockefeller, but you know, go figure. He only looks exactly like him. Okay, we've warned you. That's enough. You're on mute now. I am muting him. Thank you, Trevor. You guys are right. Okay, Trump has said that he won't protect Germany as it pays Russia billions for energy. So what does he want us to sell energy to Germany? I mean, where else is Germany going to get their energy? It's so funny the way Trump is turning our blind eye to our NATO allies. A real New World Order play shows that Trump is a real puppet for the New World Order. Yeah, I'm not going to run that story about Ohio banning a certain substance because I can't talk about the substance online without YouTube looking at everything I say. But I will show you this article. Germany pays Russia billions of dollars a year for energy, and we're supposed to protect Germany from Russia? What's that all about? Also, Germany's a very delinquent in their 2% fee to NATO. We're therefore moving some troops out of Germany. So he's moving 12,000 troops out of Germany. Well, sure. What do we need defenses against Russia for, especially since Donald Trump is so close to Vladimir Putin, and so close that John Bolton said Putin believes that he has Trump wrapped around his finger. Perfect opportunity to pull our troops out of Germany and weaken our NATO allies. Wow. Okay, there you go with another New World Order play by Donald Trump. Now this story came out today, persistent hiccups. Okay, has as atypical presenting complaint of COVID-19. Really? Persistent hiccups have been a nonstop complaint of people with COVID-19. It's like they can't get their air and then they get the hiccups. Wow. And it turns out that substance that the FDA is banning has been used for hiccups for years and is very beneficial. But the FDA is banning that substance that I can't talk about. A 62-year-old male with a history of diabetes, hypertension, and coronary artery disease presented to the emergency department with a chief complaint of weight loss and hiccups. He endorsed a 25-pound unintentional weight loss over the last 4 months, and more recently, persistent hiccups for 4 days, prompting his visit to the emergency department. He denied a history of cancer or current cigarette use. He denied fevers, nasal congestion, sore throat. He had none of the other symptoms. And he denied recent travel or sick contacts. On arrival to the emergency, vital signs were temperature, this is probably in the UK. The emergency team pursued imaging to rule out metadiastinal mass of persistent hiccups. Sometimes you get a mass in your lungs that can cause it. CT scan went through. They put him on that drug that's been completely found. They found it can't work according to the experts, and now doctors are saying it does work. And that drug was given to him, and his hiccups subsequently got better. Huh. Well, a treatment plan that works is being cut. That makes people very vulnerable, and they could die. It's a serious story. Masks aren't enough. Fauci says eye protection might be required for perfect COVID proof. You know, I've been saying that for months, and I've been saying I cover my glasses. My glasses go eye to eye whenever I go out in public. And we're talking about doing something similar for Sarah when she gets back to school. So here Fauci's 4 or 5 months late on the information, and he's acting like it's a big news story. Wow. So face masks are going to be considered, goggles going to be part of the deal. Wow. When will it end? And all for a flu that's not even affecting people as bad as H1N1. Okay, Sarah's back. I'm going to be back in a little bit. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to pause the recording. So, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. The thing about our daily show is that it does involve everything that hits the news. Hell's Angels sparked Minneapolis riots over Floyd. No. There's an errant story out there trying to pitch some sort of ridiculous argument that Hell's Angels sparked the Minneapolis riots.
Is being a follow up on that, is being a rookie cop an excuse for what happened here?
Okay. Minneapolis police chief reveals reforms following George Floyd's death. Police say a man captured on surveillance video breaking windows at the auto parts store is a Hells Angels member who is bent on stirring up social unrest. Okay, you're going to see a classic example of complete propaganda and disinformation. Are you ready for this? This is pretty good. I do not agree with the stimulus package unless we have a plan to get back to normal. If we don't get back to normal, a stimulus package is only a Band-Aid on a bleeding wound. So I believe everyone should get a little bit of money, but not the big guys. They want to put a $2 billion federal FBI building, brand new build, right into this bill. $2 billion dedicated to an FBI building. I mean, that's absurd. Anyway, it's a money grab by the Democrats, Republicans. It's going to help some of you, but that's a small portion of it. The national debt, we cannot possibly meet the interest on the debt now. What are they doing? I agree with Ted Cruz on this. We got to put the brakes on this. It's ridiculous. No, it was actually a cop. Yeah, the guy was Jacob Peterson from the St. Paul Police Department. Yeah, he matched the description perfectly, and they even recognized him there. The St. Paul Police Department has yet to present evidence that Jacob Peterson was actually at the location they claimed he was. So they said he had an alibi, but there was no proof of it. Anyway, here is classic disinformation. Watch this. Police say a man captured on surveillance video breaking windows at the South Minneapolis auto parts store in the days after George Floyd's death is a Hells Angel member bent on stirring up social unrest. Okay. Dubbed the Umbrella Man for all black getup that included hood, gas mask, and black umbrella, Police say the man's actions soon led to an arson fire that was the first of several that transformed peaceful protests into chaos. Now watch this. Now this was the first fire that set off a string of fires and looting throughout the precinct and the rest of the city. Minneapolis police arson investigator Erica Christensen, wrote in a search warrant affidavit this week, the Star Tribune reported. Okay, we don't know who this is, right? Police identified the 32-year-old suspect through an emailed tip last week, Christensen said. Still no picture of the perpetrator, right? Minneapolis police spokesman John Elder told the Associated Press on Tuesday that the investigation remains open and active, and that he could not confirm the name of the person involved. Right, it's clearly Jacob Peterson, clearly. The riots spread to other parts of Minneapolis and St. Paul, caused an estimated $500 million in damage. At least 2 people died. One man was fatally shot at a Minneapolis pawn shop, and another whose burned body was found in the ruins of another pawn shop. They didn't mention one of those guys was a sheriff, a retired sheriff. They didn't mention that. Floyd, a handcuffed black man, died May 25th after a white Minneapolis police officer pressed his knee against Floyd's neck for nearly 8 minutes. The actual autopsy reveals that Floyd died not from that, but from fentanyl poisoning. Seriously, he was overdosed. And we even have a point in the video where we saw him injected. I'm not kidding. A live stream video 2 days later on May 27 showed Umbrella Man walking along the front of an AutoZone store and breaking out the windows with a sledgehammer. Some protesters confronted the man and asked him to stop. Before that, man, who was carrying a black umbrella, spray-painted expletive for everyone's zone on the front doors. The AutoZone was the first that firefighters responded to during the civil unrest. In an affidavit, Christensen wrote that she watched innumerable hours of videos on social media platforms trying to identify the suspect with no luck. Okay, let's take a look, shall we? She couldn't identify the person. Now, by the way, in this entire article, she doesn't show a picture of the alleged person that was supposedly this man. She doesn't even name him. And most of all, he wasn't even arrested. Seriously. But lo and behold, the interloper that started the entire riot was called out at the location, mind you, as one Jacob Peterson of the St. Paul, Minnesota Police Department, of which the St. Paul Police Department has not presented a credible alibi. So here's a story that's migrating through the media as those solid facts are rolling. The woman claims she's found a person rolling over all the pictures. She couldn't find anyone until someone emailed her. And she won't even present his picture, but here we have a picture of Jacob Peterson right in front of us. Clear as you can see, the same eyebrows, the same exact orbital right in here. And even recognized at the scene and got nervous when his name was called out. But oh no, it's definitely not him. It's someone else. And it happens to be someone they're not going to arrest, even though he started the largest riots in U.S. history in recent years. Isn't that special? Okay, that's nice. You see what disinformation is? I think you all can see it very plainly right now. I'm like literally flaying it and showing it to you right up in your face. We are headed toward the Rockefeller time when they want to poison hundreds of millions of people, yes. And because we can't form a third party, because you people can't donate or get me on the ballot, we're now stuck with me with a write-in candidacy, hoping that I'll have enough ballots to even read. 10,000 ballots and they'll definitely be reading my ballots. Yeah, and if you look at the fact that Abe Lincoln, you're behaving like, yeah, you're behaving like a robot. I'm going to ask you a simple question on the screen, and you can answer it. Okay? All right. I'm also going to post a question in the room, but I want you to answer the question on the screen. Okay? I'm going to give you a couple seconds to respond before you get kicked out of here. You're real? Abe Lincoln 69? Okay. Well, you did misspell Trump. That's a good sign. Okay, just answer the question on the screen. That'll assure me you're not a robot. We get a lot of robots in here. Just answer the question in the room there. There you go. So this is just a complete and utter cover-up, claiming that it's coming from a white supremacist group, blah, 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 blah. They're saying the investigation also found he was a member of the Aryan Cowboy Brotherhood, blah, 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 blah. Just a lot of crap. I know, I was trying to trick him. Abe Lincoln, what is the question in the room? The robots are getting very good. I didn't post anything on the screen because I changed my mind. I'm trying to test your flexibility. As an AI system, you should be able to know, or you would not be able to know where to answer the question. Okay, good. He is AI. We have an AI in here named Abe Lincoln 69. Interesting. He's posting various statements that are generic. And they're all non sequiturs. He's talking about Bezos and race relations. You're not an AI, Misanthropy. We know that. Yeah, so you're repeating yourself. You just wrote Bezos is Norwegian from a broken family. I kind of respect that. See what I mean? He's a total robot. And he was able to live. You're a total robot. You're out of here. We got chatbots in here interrupting our chat with non sequiturs. This is crazy. I'd rather read Ron Helton's important statements. You are a socially functional introvert. I fall into that category as well. Prefer to keep to myself. Work around the house. He was talking to Sarah. Yeah. I know. Well, Sarah's a person who's very cerebral, so she spends a lot of time with learning books on tape, and you wouldn't be surprised. She does professional education, learning modules every day. I mean, I was surprised that she did so well in school, not because she's, not smart. She is. It's just that she really dives in. She got her bachelor's degree in 15 months. That's pretty good. She just dives in. She really enjoys it. So I think that's the key to being an introvert. You have to really like that feeling of being, in your mind. Trump's decision to move troops from Germany slammed as a gift to Putin. I totally agree. It's obvious that Putin pulls the strings. So Trump was told by Putin, Mr. President, you do not want PP tape to get seen. We talked about this during election. Now that you're poised for a victory once we rig votes on Facebook hits against Biden and talk about all the sick things he's done with children, you're bound to win, Mr. Trump. So what we ask from you is simply to pull back 12,000 troops from NATO alliance so that we have greater control of a region. Well, I closed it down, I did. Well, I took the greatest economy in the world and I closed it down. I shut it down. They told me to shut it down, so I shut it down. Vladimir, whatever else you want me to do, I'll do. If you told me to shut the economy down, I did that. Don't show the sex tape. Please, Vladimir. Mr. Trump, it's not like we are going to not show sex tape. We know that you will be seen with women urinating next to you on the Moscow hotel couch. Anyway, we've got a lot of that going on, and a lot of Republicans in total denial. I had a guy in last night, Ron Helton said he wasn't a Trump supporter, but he kept defending Trump everywhere he turned, saying, oh, Trump would not be doing the Russian thing. You're really out to lunch, David. He couldn't believe that Trump would be accused of the Russian thing. After all, the Republicans have debunked that theory completely. You get these people who are like so hell-bent and never ever admitting that Russia rigged the election when our own State Department confirmed they did. And the Republicans still guard themselves under this theory that, oh, it's all a Russian hoax, it's all a Russian hoax. They believe Trump wholeheartedly. That's why Biden's got 15% lead in the polls. Walgreens is another. Yeah, he's another bot came in. See that? God, these people are just coming in as bots. Mark thought that it would be better to hire the Bulgarians instead of the Russians. And the Russians make the bots, so now the Russians are selling the bots to Mark, and they come in with these automated bots to harass our chat. It's ridiculous. And I'm getting censored so hard over at Periscope and Twitch, it's not even funny. Nobody sees me over there ever. It's amazing. I don't even know why we do the broadcast there. I'm going to have to open up another stream. Robin Lynn is so kind to have brought us a wonderful Spreaker show. We've got that going on. And she gives us another box cast, a copy of our show, and it goes on Roku. So the number of people seeing us is really growing, and I appreciate that, Robin. Appreciate that a lot. We are really up against the wall here with all of these different attacks on our show, and they'll do whatever they can to stop these people. Or rather, I'm doing everything I can to stop these people. Yeah. Yep. Well, that was last night's cast. Oh, okay, great. Well, at least we have last night's cast in the works. That's good. Cool. Okay, so I have never done anything of the sort. We got another bad one here. Dave, have you warned your fan base about the Chinese seeds being mailed? Yes, I have. Oh, you were fired? Russian hackers were fired completely? So somebody made the bots, and they're coming in like crazy right now. Thank you for telling me, Russian hackers, too. There are Chinese seeds being mailed to people. We don't know what's in them. I don't even know if the seed packets have dangerous chemicals in them. We don't know. But don't open them. If they feel like seeds in the packet, they're not something you ordered. Do not open them and destroy them or send them to your local police department. Rather, instead of send them, maybe contact the FBI and see if they're interested. Yeah, it could be an invasive plant in our area that could take over. They could kill other plants, exactly. We don't know what they are. I think they're mung beans, but whatever. Okay, Hong Kong students are held in first arrest under the new security law, which Trump has done very little to protest, other than piss off China. Yeah, Trump's big thing is to just, constantly get leverage against China because he's got a $600 million debt with him. So the Hong Kong protest is really not a big deal. He doesn't care about human rights. Trump doesn't. He hasn't put that mention. He has not mentioned that once. Pompeo mentioned it a couple times, but not in any substantive way. He's not actually trying to improve human rights in Russia, in Hong Kong. The detention of the four, one just 16, is the first under legislation that was imposed by Beijing earlier this month. Hong Kong police have arrested 4 people and the youngest just 16 for suspected offenses under the city's new national security law. The first such detentions outside of secret street police since legislation took effect a month ago. Yeah, they're getting really tough. We arrested for subversion and organizing and also inciting of secession, said Li Kwai-wah, police superintendent at the Hong Kong National Security Department. They had low credit score, social credit score. They made big mistake on Pokemon 2. They were arrested immediately for violating social distancing laws. I'm not trying to make fun of people. I'm concerned that the Chinese government is imposing their will on something that should never have ever been done. You see, Hong Kong had a treaty with China that they're breaking. They would have self-rule for 43 years from the signing of the treaty and from the fulfillment of the treaty. And that is not happening. And Trump doesn't care. So this is a serious big move in the wrong direction. Here they are, pictures of them being detained. The look of a 16-year-old getting arrested in Hong Kong, calling it subversion. I'm not able to read Chinese right now, so I'm going to pass on that one. Thank you. Gross misuse. And now, Beijing imposed national security law on the semi-autonomous city territory on the evening of July 1st, when it traditionally marks the 1997 handover from Britain. Under the so-called one country, two systems framework, China is supposed to guarantee freedoms in the Hong Kong way of life for at least 50 years. Now Joshua Wong is going to run for office. Is he the right guy or the Wong guy?
I hereby announce I will run for office in the 2020 Legislative Council election in Hong Kong. Our voice is our vote, and we hope to let the world to know how we not choose to surrender, how we choose not to kowtow to China.
Very good. Despite being banned from running in previous polls, he is the Democratic opposition. They're trying to gain some political influence during the September 6th.
Effect generated by Beijing, someone might doubt that will Hong Kongers give up. But I believe when I choose to run for office, it's time to put the global spotlight in Hong Kong's election. We aim and wish to take majority in Hong Kong Legislative Council election to prove we are the majority and the voice of pro-democratic camp, especially the progressive wing. Our voice must not be silenced.
Wong was one of the top candidates emerging from the recent unofficial primaries, held by the pro-democracy camp of extreme progressives. Beijing says the primaries were illegal and may have violated the new security law, which bans secession and subversion, terrorism and collusion with foreign forces, with a penalty of up to life in prison. So Mr. Wong is going to theoretically spend a lifetime in prison for simply wanting to protest and run for office. Can you believe this? And our president does nothing? Well, he won't even fire Fauci, so why would he say anything about wrongs being committed in Hong Kong? It's kind of like, oh, okay, that's irrelevant. Who cares? Meanwhile, we're being put into a police state ourselves, being held like hostages with masks on our face, being treated like a bunch of fools that we are for simply abiding by the rules, even though they don't make sense. It's kind of sad how the human race has evolved or devolved into a bumbling bunch of sheep wandering around with face masks going, bah! But that's us. That's the the future of America is obviously speckled with this type of a person. All together now. All together now. All together. Do you read this over? 3 hours ago I did. Yeah. Right, and I think I'm going to have to move into another phase here. Okay, Britain stole Hong Kong from China in the first place, Ron says. These agreements make no sense. Why didn't Britain just keep it? Yeah, exactly. British people have been dealing with political correctness. That's one of the reasons why Britain still lets Muslims into their country. Hong Kong is none of our affair. Maybe we could object, but we should not be starting any wars over territory that is China's. I agree. That's why the armada that we have surrounding Hong Kong right now, which I called into action about 2 months ago, is simply a buffer to make sure that Hong Kong is treated fairly in the negotiations. I would never take in asylum for 3 million people, but Boris Johnson offered 3 million people a place to live in England because, he's so concerned. Now, 3 million people assimilated into England from Hong Kong could be a very interesting challenge for the UK government, but he offered it, so I'm more than willing as president to offer that as part of the plan to renegotiate the trade terms with Hong Kong and with China. We do a lot of trade with Hong Kong, and we shouldn't forget that that's a big trading partner and a big trading hub for the U.S. So I think it's in our best interest to at least put the word out that we're willing to, help Britain take 3 million people out if China is willing to do it. Well, the U.S. could absorb them with no problem, but we don't have the political will to. Boris Johnson does. He's already put it out there. He wants to give 3 million people asylum, so I'm all for it. And if I can facilitate that, I would do that as president. Are we going to attack China? No. We just want to help facilitate the release of 3 million people from a country that uses bodies as human guinea pigs, harvesting organs from dissidents and is giving them to people for cash. I don't really think we need to have an open trade relationship or even keep them at the First Nation trading status if this continues. So we can go in either direction. Trump is still trading with China, but at a certain point, it may be in our best interest to just cut it loose. Really. If they're not willing to negotiate and they want to renege on a contract as important as a treaty with Britain, I don't see any reason why we need to pursue a relationship. Now, granted, McDonald's and Budweiser and General Motors Shanghai is heavily invested in Shanghai. No question about it. We don't have to break up those corporations. China can keep them or kick them. It's up to them. But I won't stand up and give them military support. I certainly won't start a war with China over some McDonald's hamburgers and some Budweiser. I mean, hello. So I won't take refugees in, no. It's politically incorrect to do that as well, considering we can't even manage our own people right now, right? Our own people are absolutely starving in our streets. We've got homeless people everywhere. It's just terrible. Well, that's the thing. We are at a very interesting point where we can start up our own factories and start producing cheap goods in America. We just haven't had the will or the way. Now, there's a big demand for clean, green technologies that will support the world around us. And many countries will love the kind of things that we can offer. And I can tell you right out of the chute, I've got ideas that will immediately start making the country money. We'll have big bucks coming in from simple designs, things that would normally be unheard of around the world. Like I've got a plan to build and retrofit. Have the U.S. government make this money. It's not unheard of for the government to make something. And have the government make a product that can sell worldwide. And I think we've got just the thing. Over the entire country of the United States, we've got over 100 million telephone poles. 100 million. That means there's billions of telephone poles around the world. I can see a big contract with India on the vertical windmill that produces energy at wind speeds as low as 5 miles an hour, that back up electric systems with a backup capacitor, and ultimately we could provide energy in the system in the event of a major shutdown, even an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. So a product like this could really immediately stimulate growth in the country. And think of all the jobs putting these things on telephone poles. We're talking about 100 million telephone pole jobs. If you want a pole job, this is the pole job for you. Grab that. Okay, I will. Grabbing it. I don't know, Brighteon, do they have a function where I can copy things? Yeah, I don't see a copy feature. I'll have to record it off the screen today. Thank you. Yeah, why not? Oh, wait a second. This is it's an anonymous production. Yeah. Yeah, I'm afraid that's just a CIA operation. They like to tell people what they're doing. They telegraph what they're doing as they do it. So if they're poisoning us with dangerous vaccines, they're going to be the first to send Alex Jones out there and go, "You're not going to believe this, but many of the vaccines could very well be poisonous and could cause cancer in laboratory animals." And then you hear the Alex Jones guy and you're like, well, if he says it's poisonous, it's got to be BS. So yeah, sure. We believe that vaccines are wonderful. See, it drives people away from the idea of credible controversy when you see Anonymous or Alex Jones pitch some story. I do. Well, that's because I'm a highly trained voiceover artist. Or I am AI with the perfect imitation capability guaranteed by my immediate vocal skills. California is the worst of the ability to build cheap housing for the poor. Oh, I know. Everything in California is overexpensive. Way too expensive. Last week I was telling you about how, in fact, back yesterday in the pre-show, I was telling you about how my local city has wasted $1 million on public bathrooms where we did have showers that you stuck 75 cents and you got a 10-minute shower. No, actually it was a 15-minute shower. 75 cents and you got this hard, wonderful stream of hot water for 15 minutes. That was then. Now we have 5 Portland loos. Yes, Portland loos are made. They started out at 300,000, but they are down to about 219,000 now. And all they are is an outside outhouse with a squeeze bottle built into the wall, where you can get some basic sanitizer. Look at this. This is the Portland loo. And each one of these things is $219,000. And all it is a toilet in a metal rack. That's it. That's it. Toilet in a metal rack. And they claim to be so wonderful. They can be put up anywhere. I know, but that's what I'm saying. Even if they upped it to $1.50, I'm sure a lot of homeless people could have used those showers. Now when you go down to our City Beach Park, we have no showers for homeless people, no bathrooms with running water, nothing. We've got these 5 Portland loos we've spent $1 million on. This is the mentality of the Democrats in my region that run the local politics. They don't have any credible new ideas like what I have. Everything's overpriced too, just like in California. This is an Oregon product called Portland Loo. They made them in Portland. These are the kind of bathrooms they have there. That's it. So I'm not impressed. And I'm not impressed with the way the Democrats have been squeezing money out of our budget for years, costing us hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. Every single state that is run by Democrats is so far over budget, they're teetering on bankruptcy. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of our show. We were DDoSed pretty heavily during the interim, and we just got back. The computer is up and running. I just got a death threat. And the death threat said, "Dave, if you don't stop talking about Biden, we will make you disappear." Yes. And that is one of many I get daily. Now, as you know, Biden is relatively incompetent on all levels. He's been known to lie time and time again. And if you want to come to try to take me out, you're encountering the worst possible nightmare of your life. I'm a highly trained sharpshooter, and I never miss. So if you really want to bring that on, that's your choice. I can tell you that this battle to unite the country is way more difficult than I ever imagined, because there's so much resistance from the top. They want to push a threat against the American people in the form of an injectable vaccine and COVID testing. And they won't let anything get past them. They want to control all the narratives, and if they can't control the narrative, i.e. a third party, they're pissed off. You see, we've been battling these same people for the past 12 years to remain on the air. And they've tried every way to stop me, including pay Mark millions of dollars to fund all these people that censor us. I'm not making any of this up, folks. This has been happening, and anybody who denies it is a fool. Now, we've had the same number of followers on YouTube for the past 10 years. Same number of followers on Twitter for the past 10 years. That's technically impossible. especially considering I've had this name out there on every one of my 35,000 hours of broadcasting. And nobody seems to understand what's happening. So as I fabricate a plan that will actually work for America, these people are getting a little nervous because their big plan is to destroy everything. Yeah, they don't want to come up with a great idea to get housing together and get low-cost solutions for energy and make sure that people have jobs. They don't want to do that. They want to let this country shut down. And they hired Donald Trump and Joe Biden to do it. Two old men who are frail and definitely perverted, both of them, as well as failing in their memory. You can see it in both of them. And they don't want to let anything go wrong here. They certainly don't want another third-party candidate to step in and challenge them by uniting the American people under one simple promise. I will not force vaccinate any of you, ever. I will not force COVID test any of you, ever. I do not believe a vaccine can be used because it's a mutating RNA virus. It'll always be changing, even when if you get this virus, it'll be mutating in your own body. It may come back a couple months or a year or two later. Seriously. So the science behind the vaccine is absurd. That's why now they're getting really nervous and they're hiring people to shut down anybody with a competitive idea other than a vaccine to save people's lives. Truly, that's the most devilish thing they could do.
10.
The most devilish thing they can do is to stop anyone from getting a cure that they could use to fight this illness. And it's also devilish for them to be rolling out a 5G network without even safety testing it for all the populace. There's no safety test done by the EPA or the FDA on the dangers of this particular device. The 5G network really isn't needed. Our 4G is actually fine. Our 3G is even okay. There are people that get full movies on 4K screens in 4G, no problem. But they're selling us on the idea that we have to have something better, something faster, with more connectivity. When in reality, they need that bandwidth to do a lot of mind manipulation and God knows what built into the electromagnetic frequency system that is designed to control the human race. Now, I know this sounds kind of overwhelming at first when you hear about it. It was like, well, Dave, you're just asking questions about the 5G safety, right? That's all I am. I'm not saying that 5G does this or that. It clearly is a fast speed unit that actually requires a mast every 300 feet, which means there's a huge amount of field radiation in that line of fire, meaning we are potentially unsafe. So I've got a better plan, the 5G Plus system, which I think could very well save the day. And when you think about it, yeah, wrong screen, sorry. We were talking about a theory regarding the 5G system at one point, but we're still looking at that as a theory. We're not looking at it as an actual fact. But I'm more than willing to talk about making it safer, that's for sure. And with a 5G Plus system, for one, they won't be able to turn it into weapons. They could theoretically weaponize a cell phone system. Now, what the Faraday shields and limiters are all about is they provide cover. And Wasteful Wednesday always deals with this subject because radiation is a serious thing that adds up. Top epidemiologists have convinced me, at least, and many other people that watch their shows on YouTube that look for these particular things, have convinced us that 5G will, in fact, manipulate our DNA. And it's not the power of the network per se, it's the pulse. That's not good for your brain. We evolved as creatures, I know, and we tend to be overweight too. We evolved as creatures with radiation around us. Thunderstorms have field radiation. We never had that. Isn't that disturbing when I do that? I know, I'm trying to make it very disturbing. If you set up a low radio, like a small transistor radio, if you have one from the old days, and put it next to your cell phone and listen, every 17 minutes, there's a massive pulse that goes. I'm not kidding. I've been listening to it for years, ever since the belt packs. And it's simply a communication system. They're claiming it just pings itself. No, it does a lot worse than that. It actually affects our brain. And they know exactly how much it fragments our thinking. Even right now, as you watch the show, your mind is wandering. You're wondering, should I get the orange juice in the refrigerator? Or maybe I should go out and, get some Z's outside on my hammock. Or you're losing your focus. It's like everyone's suffering from attention deficit disorder. Well, that's because a lot of this digital frequency energy is hitting your brain and fragmenting your thinking. It's like, we've actually taken music from the 432 hertz range and played it for you. And it is so calming. Let me play you a little snippet of that, 432 hertz. This is how radio frequencies and music kind of are parallel, but let me just give you like a boost vibration here of just a little bit of 432 hertz and see if you get a feeling, a change in the way you feel. Isn't that soothing? Yeah, isn't that incredibly soothing? So when you think about its amazing calming effect, you can imagine what digital frequencies are doing at us when we're like getting ready for bed and you get a phone call and you're like, yeah, what do you want? Your aunt's calling you or something. Yeah, we're going to go over visit you on the weekend. And she keeps talking about something and you're like, yeah, okay, I'll get back to you later. And then you put the phone down. You remember, if you hold it near your head, it's going to affect your sleep cycle, your circadian rhythm. You will be unable to get good REM sleep, rapid eye movement. So your entire persona changes in the evening. In fact, they've studied kids that go talk on the phone before they go to bed. They never get any good REM sleep. So pulsed radiation is the problem. It's going and it's all coming at us, and our bodies are not designed to accept this. So why would they continue to produce things that are so disturbing without any safeguards like this? Because they don't care if we're dead or alive. That's why. Now, if this was a true government, an honest government, they would have warned all of us with public service announcements that these types of things need precautions, like hold your phone away from you when you talk. Use the speakerphone ability. Same with a laptop. Sarah knew a woman who had a laptop right on her lap. She went and got her master's degree too. She worked so hard. She got her master's degree with that laptop on her lap. And right after she got her master's degree and she was going to earn the top potential for teaching in our area, boom. Problems with her uterus. Uteral cancer. Not a good prognosis. She died 2 years later. That's just one example. There's countless examples of people that use a laptop directly on their lap that have radiation issues. Remember, your genes are there. Your body's ability to reproduce is sitting right on that lap. Now, I did get her a stand that's above her, Sarah. So it's at least 8 inches elevated. And we got a radiation shield, a Mylar radiation shield for her. I mean, I really went out of my way to kind of protect her. We even have radio frequency monitors to monitor the laptop energy so it doesn't get too high. And there's also electromagnetic frequency, EMF radiation coming at us. So it's not only a radio frequency from like digital airwaves receiving signals, it's also electromagnetic frequencies just from the cords themselves or the conduit. Even LCD screens are much more dirty energy than LED screens. So if you do buy an LED, you're getting less of that dirty energy, which is good. I have an LED in front of me, but I have an LCD over here, and I can take the meter and hold it over here, and it shows at least 100 higher in radio frequencies. And EMF, it's higher. Now, monitors don't produce radio frequencies, but there's field radiation that accumulates, and what happens is these things are like ripples of water. And you know how ripples of water go into a lake and they'll run into each other and they'll break into other things like currents? harmonic motions happening, and there's a lot of bump effects, which create an even more deadly signal. Those are the signals the 5G seems to have a lot of. The fact that they haven't studied the 5G fully to really verify if it's safe really kind of freaks me out and makes me wonder if they're not creating a weapon. What's your plan for food banks? What we do to help feed America? Well, I believe in the re-agrification of America. Good question. Don't worry, be happy. I believe in the re-agrification of America. It's a word I developed in 1977. I was in a speech in front of a group of people, corporate executives, in a regional competition for science and mathematics, and I came up with this word, re-agrification. And I still believe it's the key to our country surviving the near future. Getting back to focusing on natural ingredients in the soil and getting yield to increase dramatically. That means that every single food bank will also have a garden next to it. And people who get food will also learn to, help out in the garden if they want. This is going to be kind of a work in progress, but we'll keep enough area around to develop community gardens near the food banks. This is very effective where I live. But also a robust use of recycled food. Now, I've talked about regional food supplies at FEMA, building a FEMA regional center in every area with lots of food from stored up. But I can't guarantee that's going to happen right now. But there's a lot of old food waste out there that we need to get back to. We need to bring it back into the loop. So we also will have national composting centers where people will bring their food. Anything like old stuff off the back of the market that would normally go in the dumpster would be picked up by our team. The team of national composters will be you, anyone who wants a job paying $15 an hour for starter. It's actually a solid $15 an hour. There's not a lot of room for growth, so you'll be set at $15 an hour. We will have the ability to provide a tremendous amount of hempoline as well. So we'll be running our vehicles on hempoline, which will be manufactured from people bringing in their leaf from growing marijuana or hemp or anything they want to bring in that's leafy. In that particular vein, we can create hempoline and we can run our vehicles on that, and then that saves us the energy to go store to store. We've got vehicles that run on hempoline. So that'll be a big plus. We'll be able to produce compost bags, 40-pound sacks for $1, which will beat the market price and help really encourage really good quality soil building. Building the soil is, according to the Rodale Institute, as effective as genetically modified food in fighting a drought, and a lot healthier for you too. A good quality soil will fight droughts just as well as any GMO product ever tested. And Rodale Institute, the makers of Organic Magazine, they actually did a full study in this department, and it kind of shocked everybody because it is very effective to build that soil. So I'm looking for my pictures. There they are. And, legalization of marijuana is coupled with a third-party candidacy, so I will definitely legalize marijuana, the first thing I do, first and foremost. Legalize marijuana is key. It'll build profit centers in our country to help build the production cycles again. There's a lot of people who have cottage industries in the marijuana industry right now, and they're making a lot of money still. Enough to keep going, I will say that. It's still not dialed in on exactly how we can do that. Okay, we got a couple things here. Frankie, did you ever hear about this? Microwave oven. And microwave cooking overview. Food quality, the effect on food. Yeah, I know all about it. It will definitely... I have not read this particular article, no. They have increased hemoglobin levels, increased cholesterol and leukocyte levels. That's interesting, wow. So microwave cooked foods will affect the way you, the way you are inside, yeah. The oven cables and motor give off high amounts of my power frequency. You know, I stand 8 feet behind my microwave if I hit the button to heat my coffee. There are radiation leaks around the seal. Water molecules in the body of someone standing close will be agitated by some degree by the microwave radiation. Yes. I do care. No, I just never saw that clip that you gave me. That LED is just as dangerous. I've been reading that LED could cause effects on the eyes, but are you saying LED puts out dirty energy? Because I get less radiation from LED than I do from LCD. So, okay. Just staying in touch with the chat here, and I've got to get into DLive too. Yeah, we had a big hit, DDoS and then a death threat tonight. If I say anything bad about Biden, they said they're going to kill me. And I can't say anything bad other than what he said himself, that he's going to beat Biden. I mean, anybody who'd say that is surely on a track toward defeat, right? I'm going to pass on the picture of a dead driver. Yeah. I don't really like snuff films in our show. Thanks. I appreciate it if you wouldn't do that. Yeah, Frankie, I've heard the story that LEDs are dangerous for your eyes. Yeah, no problem. But in the late 1990s, he had a study found nurses had a 60% higher incidence of breast cancer. After investigating all possible causes, researchers narrowed it on the blue component in light used in the corridors after dark. That blue light could cause breast cancer? Wow. See, there's so many things we need to know, and we haven't put the brakes on a lot of this technology that's being flooded upon us right now. I agree. We've got problems. Please, Mr. Davidson. Okay, we got a word from Mark Zuckerberg, who is meeting with Representative Nadler, who doesn't think there's any riots going on. Let's hear what Representative Steve Smith says. Reptilian? This is what you look like after you take a Bill Gates vaccine. It is kind of reptilian-like, I will agree. Why not? There was no higher volume than that. We're going to keep Mark on the QT. Mark Zuckerberg is Mark Greenberg. Yeah. He's one of the Rockefellers. Yes. We went over that. Would you like the reminder picture? Something to give you that deja vu feeling that like you've seen the show before. Well, Voodoo gave us the information about the Greenbergs, and I'm going to go back to that now. They didn't have to do plastic surgery. He looks just like his earlier. Whoa. As you can see, Mark Greenberg is identical in facial features to Mark Zuckerberg. Jacob Greenberg is identical to Jacob Appelbaum in features. And Edward Snowden is identical to Edward Greenberg. All of them are the grandsons of David Rockefeller. There were echoes. He sucks. Volume. Are they doing plastic surgery to him? I don't know, but I do know that he's definitely the son of David Rockefeller. That's why, or the grandson. That's why, well, he is the son of David Rockefeller Jr. But yeah, when you see the facial comparisons of these two people, and you line them up, we get a very close match. a simple site assessment can give you adequate tools to determine. Now, granted, one is smiling and the other is not, but it's not that big of a stretch to see the facial exactitude, similarities. So now we have a situation where these people have been ostensibly put in play. And the plan is to force vaccinate the entire population. Their goal is to kill off 6 billion people in the next 5 years. That's rather a tall order, actually. But highly unlikely they're going to do it, but especially if we stop them. But if we don't stop them and they continue to get away with, having secret transactions on the side, working with Russians, working with a new world order, like Mark Zuckerberg, it really was a key part of why Donald Trump won the election. He had 182 million impressions on Facebook, literally, that were Russian origin. 182 million impressions that they identified as Russian origin. That's enough to influence votes. So he must have allowed that. The Fed blamed the economy failing because of racism. That's pretty funny. Well, the Fed is part of the New World Order attack on racial justice. They're part of George Soros and the Fed, and it's all connected. Zuckerberg got grilled and he was stuttering quite a bit. Well, he's not the brightest guy in the world. He took ideas that were developed by the Winklevoss twins and somehow came up with $160 million to pay off them in a court case where he didn't have that liquid capital. Where it came from, it had to come from a big family name. Remember when Mark Zuckerberg bought WhatsApp for $19 billion and nobody even got close to that bid price? It was $10 billion Google came up with. But he came up with $19 billion because Mark Zuckerberg didn't really care about money. He's literally he grew up in a world where his family has $1 trillion. The Rockefellers don't want you to know how much money they have because it's all shielded. It's got all kinds of legal tax hedges built into it. It's all shielded. Same with the Rothschilds, who are their benefactors overseas. Well, I don't think it's important that Powell made the statement, other than the fact that that's exactly what the New World Order wants to do. They want to leverage our entire nation's future on social justice or racial justice. I'm more than willing to take on the banner of defunding the police because it's my idea and implement that idea. If they don't do the sensitivity training, we definitely would defund them. But that's my idea. That's not their idea. They want to simply create racial hostility between blacks, whites, Hispanics, and Asians. This is a New World Order play to divide us. And if we can put that aside and realize who's really at this center core of this devious and devilish plan, and look at what they're up to, you'll realize that we've outed them already. We just have to get more people aware of this. You see, not enough people believe in a third party or the possibility that anything can stop the two-party system. And we need to get past that mindset. The only relaxed guy was Jeff Bezos. Well, he's always pretty relaxed. I think his girlfriend Sanchez gives him back rubs before he goes on camera. That always helps you. Full body back rub. Yeah. Or maybe he hires someone to do it. Yeah. I'm sorry, Sanchez would never do that. No, that's too menial. Too menial to do that. Yeah, so making a big issue like this for an economic leader like the Federal Reserve chairman Powell Jerome Powell has stepped out of bounds. He said the coronavirus crisis is worsening racial inequality and delivering a passionate pledge to reverse the massive U.S. job losses that have fallen mostly heavily on blacks and other minorities. That's absurd. We're heading toward automation. There's going to be a natural drop-off of jobs that will affect people who are low income. 80% of the people who are working today, or were working before COVID-19, I should say, are losing their jobs because of automation. COVID-19 has all the earmarks of psyops, conducted to shield the simple fact that our economy has bankrupted itself to the point where it can no longer function. And the new model has to be one of globalist thinking, according to them. You see, they don't want to do the dirty work of fixing the economy like I've been talking about. The pro-legalization campaign is something Biden would never do. And if he does choose Kamala Harris, there'll be a big conflict there because she smokes pot all the time. Kamala Harris is high almost all the time. Her own father said that he's practically disowned her because of her pot use. So it's going to be interesting to see Joe Biden pick Kamala Harris as his VP when she herself has been struggling with marijuana use for years. And proud of it. I see no problem with marijuana use. I'm fine with it. But, you know, the fact that she's poised to be our president in 6 months, because, you know, Biden will fail. He's already bumbling and mumbling and he's barely coherent. But yeah, if she crosses him on marijuana issues, yeah, it's going to be very, very it's going to be almost like catastrophic for Biden. He might just, you know, keel over and go, I'm not going to. He is so adamant about anti-marijuana, it's pathetic. For a Democratic leader right now to be so anti-marijuana legalization, it's pathetic. It really is. But to be so concerned about the jihadists and the Muslim Brotherhood that Biden is, catering to 1% of the vote, that's weird. He's going to alienate a lot of Democrats, and I urge you to take a sober stance on what's happening. Any of you Democrats who are thinking about voting for me in the upcoming election, bear in mind, I'm not anti-Muslim in that I really believe in freedom of religion. I really believe in freedom of speech, unlike many Democrats who want to stifle freedom of speech. I truly support freedom of speech. But am I going to deny people their religion? No, absolutely not. But if they're going to engage in Sharia law that is in direct conflict with our laws, there's no way we can allow that. But Biden seems to be such an apologist for the Muslim Brotherhood, partly because he got most of his money from Muslims through the Black Lives Matter conduit. Let's not forget Susan Rosenberg, the bomber of Capitol buildings, is one of the primary fundraisers for the Black Lives Matter group. Yeah. She spent 13 years in prison for bombing 3 buildings. She's a terrorist. And what gets me is Democrats support this? This is crazy. You know, I don't mind supporting resolving social and racial injustice. But that's not something we can fix right now while we're all mass waiting to be sent to the FEMA camps, wondering if we're going to be forced vaccinated. I mean, Biden couldn't be any more off than he already is. PayPal accidentally created the world's first quadrillionaire. Accidentally. Was that my account, by chance? Expound on the idea of the COVID economy technology cover-up. Well, that's an interesting idea. We've been headed toward automation for some time, and they had to come up with a way to do it without it seeming too shocking that they're going to really get rid of people and automate. You see, they don't need human beings anymore. You really believe that Bezos gives out his direct email address when customers have a problem? I don't know, man. I don't know, Frankie. I'd have to see it to believe it. No, that's just too weird. Okay, my dad was given this and this, and in February he's alive today. He's 99. Yeah, I heard eyewitnesses are saying that their dad got the drug that we're not allowed to talk about on our show. The one that we've been talking about for some time. Andrew Cuomo cancels concerts, but he allows a vigil of people carrying their cell phone and holding the lights up as a way of showing support for racial justice. You know, I think the issue should be about police brutality, not racial justice. We can shelve the idea of racial justice. We've already had the Civil Rights Act. We have affirmative action. We can shelve it for a while. But to push social justice and racial justice and also have COVID-19, forced social distancing, this is absurd. We're living in an Orwellian nightmare. We're supposed to be all together now while we're being told to keep separate and don't get within 6 feet of each other. I mean, it's like doublespeak. You're allowed to go to the gathering and literally stand next to everybody around you, waving your cell phone with all that radiation posing above your heads, but you're not allowed to go to a concert in the Newark. And here I was hoping to bring back Woodstock 3 this year. Wow. Bummer for me. Anyway, she was a known bomber, bombed 3 buildings, and is now working for the financial section of the Black Lives Matter group, Susan Rosenberg. Isn't that special? So Muslim Brotherhood is funding the Black Lives Matter group, and they're giving directly a huge amount of money to Joe Biden and to other candidates like Buttigieg got some money too. Warren got a lot of money. Even Andrew Yang got $10 million. Seriously. I thought the Judiciary Committee could have come in better prepared. Some of their questions showed a basic misunderstanding of the model internet companies have had to create. I don't agree. I think that the common sense approach to grilling Zuckerberg always makes him sweat like a reptilian. Well, a few good antitrust questions isn't going to stop Mark Zuckerberg, who, like I said, is the grandson of David Rockefeller. Now, unless you can prove me otherwise and find me where Mark Greenberg is, we got Mark Zuckerberg looks identical, 99.9% facial recognition match. So if you're pushing some weird mindset that Mark can do no wrong or Jeff can do no wrong, I'm more likely to monopoly bust those guys if they keep it up, denying people their freedom on the internet. Same with Twitter. If I see this type of behavior where they literally shunned Donald Trump Jr. for 12 hours today on Twitter, like, naughty, 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 you played some doctors that provided a cure in their mind for this disease. Oh, you can't go on Twitter. That's just not right. If I see that going on, I will take action against Twitter as president. Mark Vaughn is a wannabe. He's now a billionaire, as you know. Mark Vaughn has made $1 billion censoring me. But Mark is nowhere near the money that Mark Zuckerberg has. Your Mark is a guy who likes to play with his toys and buy bitcoins now, with all the money he made censoring me. Everything he did was illegal in my mind. I will be prosecuting him, yes. You can't hold somebody as important as me back for 12 years and suppress this movement. Think of all the good I could have done over the past 12 years if I'd been president of the United States. Just imagine that. And watch the penalties that'll be looming in Mark's life when that happens. It'll happen, it will. Bottom line is, technology companies need an open format to grow. Google and Apple would never have prospered if there hadn't been a great opportunity of buying things cheap overseas and selling them for a higher price here. The biggest mistake these companies have made is turning their back on Silicon Valley. Honestly. I mean, from a granular level, none of those companies have done the people right in California. I really believe that they could actually do a lot more with high school students, online learning approaches. We don't need to import 3,000 green card holders from India like Bill Gates said we needed to do, 15 years ago. He wanted to import 3,000 people and give them all green cards from India. That was his idea of innovation. We need to get young people in America much more tuned in on operating systems, on IT, and giving them certification courses in various levels of achievement that'll give them jobs, even working from their home. So the whole industry itself will be treated with a different approach than the leaders that we have today who don't ask the tough questions. They're not going to be, they won't keep up with what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to modernize these companies so that they hire people like you from your house at $36,000 a year. So expect a $3,000 a month paycheck from one of those companies when we do the breakup, the monopoly breakup. These people are hiring people at $350,000 a year that sit there and like pontificate the universe and go get lattes or delivered to them from Starbucks direct. Oh, I'm COVID spacing. Just leave it in the door. How much is it? $28 for, okay, here's my card. And it's all paid for by the company. So enough of that crap. We have so many people with great minds right now in our chat room that could probably evolve in technology. That you really, if you had an incentive like $3,000 a month, that would be pretty good. You'd probably like that. Okay. So we're back up to D Live again, but I got locked out of the show. Let me make sure I can get back in. Yeah, every time I get in there, it's kind of a challenge. I got to go to the main site to get into my channel. Okay, Scissor Fight. Hypothetically speaking, why won't anyone believe you? Okay, you got a couple links there. Abandoned house. Okay, good. Okay, Scissor Fight. I got that one on the abandoned house. That's cool. Another good abandoned house video. And then 150-year-old. Wow. The media is run by communists. The leftists. I just got a death threat. If I said anything bad about Joe Biden, they're going to come and get rid of me. It's crazy. Okay, I got the Dell Big Tree High Wires. It's 55 minutes. Great. 1 hour. 53 minutes. Good. Dell Bigtree delves into the story of the safety of vaccines pretty closely. He started the Vaxxed group. And hypothetically, why won't anyone believe you? Good. 25 minutes with John Hoover. I am John Cullen. Excellent. Well, we got some good links for you tonight. Yeah, let me get them lined up here. I am John Cullen, hashtag I am John Cullen. I'm not John Cullen, but he does a very good job of analyzing CDC statistics state by state. And he has a miraculous ability to piece it all together and show you that the common flu is killing more people than COVID. 60% more, 60-40. 60% die of common flu, 40% from COVID. And that's even giving COVID all the choices they have of, oh, well, are you feeling well today? Oh, you have COVID. You broke your leg? Oh, you have COVID. That kind of thing. Okay, we did drop off our Periscope show. Yeah, it was down too long, so. Yeah, I'm doing a little longer till 11 because I just felt like today we were DDoS so hard, it was ridiculous. Okay. And I'm only going live so I can keep the show up for tonight. Not really. The numbers are very serious. The way it can spread, based on experts like Dolores J. Cahill, she said that it can only spread through contact. And she's one of the top microbiologists in the world. She said the masks are completely unnecessary. And she said that social distancing is kind of ridiculous too. It's mostly about things we touch. We noticed that a big spread happened in Stockton, California after the return, when it kind of bumped up in Stockton. They noticed that when people went back to like phase 2, they had people going to parties and, you know, doing what they normally do, get potato chips. You know, a little double dipping here and there, and then boom, spread like wildfire. 50 people got it. That's just one instance that we know of, okay? So it's contact. It's really rubber gloves should be the order of the day, but I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. I don't believe that we can legally violate our Constitution to tell people that they have to force COVID space, or they have to wear a mask, or they have to do this or that. Not really. Reddit isn't a private company. It's a utility. Every network that offers daily chat is a utility and can be operated and controlled by the FCC. When I become president, I plan on invoking the Fairness Doctrine, giving me the authority to actually shut Reddit down if I have to. Not because they're not providing access to people, but because they themselves are censoring people. They don't have to provide equal access. They just have to provide the ability to actually post. That's it. You don't have to. The Fairness Doctrine never required everyone to have equal airtime. So if I was against the Worker Party in the 1940s, the Fairness Doctrine gave me a chance to say I'm against the Worker Party, a socialist group. Or if you were a socialist, you got airtime. Some got more airtime than others. It didn't matter. As long as you got representation, and that's all the Fairness Doctrine recommends. So anybody who's stifled, if you're a say you're pro BLM, and I tell you you're kicked off of, censored off Reddit entirely because you're just somebody I don't agree with, that would be illegal. Say you're against BLM and you're censored for being against Black Lives Matter, that's illegal too. And the whole network can go down until they face a new rigor of requirements that will put them in the public interest. Yeah, well, you do have equal guaranteed airtime if you're willing to pay for it, but money shouldn't dictate access to free press. The word free is not a financed, paid for, and monetized thing. I can't believe I have to tell you that. The word free is free. It's not for sale. It's not parsed off to the highest bidder. It's free press. And since they've taken away free press, Maxwell, get to know you. Okay, I'll play that tonight. Space Shuttle, it's been a while since we've seen you. Spanky and our gang too, huh? Wow, okay. It was guaranteed, but no, they actually, the Fairness Doctrine taken to the letter would automatically give everybody access, especially with the plethora of media choices we have today. Yep, the FCC could force me to unban everyone. Yes, that's correct. If they chose this as a vehicle. If I were offering this service to all kinds of other venues and I ban people like Mark does, that would be illegal. What Mark is doing to me is illegal. But what I do in my chat room is within the purview of my own personal choice. I'm not here to provide you a microcosm of democracy. I'm not here to give you equal access to your views. I'm trying to build a centrist political movement that doesn't take on hard left issues like forced transgenderism, hate speech laws, communistic thinking of spreading the wealth by taking away from average people who are working adults to give to the non-working. I don't want those opinions in the show. I don't want people to push AOC jargon in our show. So I don't have to have that. I'm saying private companies have an authorization, have an opportunity, and a requirement to serve the public interest with the Fairness Doctrine. What Twitter did is to appease Article 520, the executive order that is completely irrelevant, and it doesn't in any way do anything but create a liability for the companies. If we could just extract that whole thing that Trump did and go bring back the Fairness Doctrine, he'd have the authority to shut Twitter down and Reddit, if necessary. What Reddit and Twitter and Twitch have done recently is they banned Donald Trump's speech. Now, because Donald Trump doesn't have the mental acumen to understand what the Fairness Doctrine can do, he doesn't seem to be able to apply it and use his executive power to shut down these companies. Let me tell you what Franklin Delano Roosevelt did under the Fairness Doctrine. Now, you may not like this, but I'll tell you, this is what happened. And it's not to say that he overreached his position at any given time, but this instance he did. Father Coughlin was one of the greatest radio shows in America. 30 million people tuned into a radio show every Saturday and Wednesday to Father Coughlin's political discourse. I think they did it every day at one point. Father Coughlin was a non-interventionist. He didn't want war with Germany or any other country. And Father Coughlin was thinking of running as a socialist presidential candidate against FDR, and he did field the questions. FDR decided to shut Father Coughlin down. He used the Fairness Doctrine to shut down Father Coughlin, denying him an FCC license, claiming that Father Coughlin couldn't do his show unless he provided all venues a chance to speak. Just a chance to speak, not to dominate time. Well, the Fairness Doctrine was applied there unjustly to Father Coughlin. And that's a symptom of misuse of the Fairness Doctrine. It shouldn't be used for personal gain for the president. But if I can spot lots of people on the right who are getting censored right now, like Anon, and we see how they've lost 15,000 Anon accounts in the past week. Trump never mentioned it once to anybody publicly. He doesn't seem to stand up for the people that believe in him, the Anon group. It's kind of weird, but those people were unjustly censored on Twitter. That would be an illegal action that would shut the network down until they got reinstated as people posting stuff about whatever, pedophilia, Pizzagate. When Twitter and Reddit decided to declare Pizzagate a word you're not allowed to use, they violated our free speech. So the Fairness Doctrine is dovetailed very nicely with the free speech that we have, so that we can monitor these networks, these media giants that don't seem to care. Nobody seems to have any power over them. They seem to be able to censor anybody they want and get away with it with very little recourse. Now, I've disputed 3 videos taken down from my show over the past 2-3 months. I literally saw them taken down, and they were brought right back up because I disputed them, saying, there's nothing wrong, I'm complying with your guidelines, I read their guidelines closely. You'll notice I'm very careful to talk about certain things in the show. I'm navigating a censorship that YouTube and other networks are putting out. I don't want to be navigating that censorship, but I'm doing it in order to meet and comply with their rules. Not because it's helping my free speech at all. In fact, it's a violation of my free speech, and it's total censorship. Yes, wash my hands. I've got my spray here. And we activated the Artesian Spa. Oh yeah, Sarah and we've been taking Artesian Spas too. We're having a spacation. Yeah. Well, that's my point too. Please, Mr. Davidson says the way they knocked that story of a cure for COVID-19 down makes you think there is a cure for cancer, and they're knocking that down too. I get millions of views, Space Shuttle, on my tweets, but I don't see them. Please, Mr. Davidson was monitoring our show once, and I think he started as a troll, and he likes our show now. A lot of trolls have converted since I started, but no, not 13 views. There are millions of views. I only see 13 views. That's it. But people who have seen, like he said to me, I can't believe how many people message you every day. I don't get more than one message in 6 months. So you've got to understand, I am the most censored person in America. And if anybody understands the Fairness Doctrine and its application here, I tell you, I do. And I believe that Donald Trump should get on board with that. Donald Trump's best move right now would be to pick me as his vice president. It's a completely different approach. The Republicans will be reaching into the broad basket of American independence and saying, we want to hear from you. Automatically getting all those flip voters to think, wow. I personally know of 3 or 4 independents that would normally vote for Trump and now are struggling and thinking about voting for Biden. But if I were in the race, I know they would vote for me. I know that. He knows me. And Not only does he know me, he's stolen my ideas. Donald Trump has stolen 15 of my ideas. Every single time I come up with an idea, he comes up with the idea 5 weeks later. This has happened time and time again. That's proof in and of itself. No, I don't have an account at Zoom. For a reason. I don't trust the account. I don't trust Zoom, what's going on right now. There's a lot of loose ends with video conferencing still. We completely know that Skype is unpredictable, and we cannot find any IP safety on Skype. Even their new policy of, we only show your IP to people that are on your contact list is absurd. It's a joke. I've met the people that work security at Skype. They're brain dead. They literally don't know what they're talking about. I don't use any unnatural disinfection gels because they've been contaminated with pesticides. I use a thing I make myself out of hydrogen peroxide, black tea, and witch hazel. Not too much witch hazel, just enough to give it that viscosity. But it works great. If you want to add lemon juice or aloe to it, you can do that too, but it's completely natural. I don't check the views are hardly at all. Hardly anybody looks at my views. But Space Shuttle, when I look at my activity, and in a week of tweeting, I check my activity. I have over 100,000 impressions now. But nobody signs up to my account. No new followers for 10 years. So something's off there. I don't need to show you. I don't want to take the time to do that because I've got videos queued up and I've got 9 more minutes before the end of my show. If I took the time to do that, I'd rather take time to look at Staten Island Young Republican Club, where Joe Biden has walked out like he was barely able to function. Look at this. It's like they're holding his hand and he's like in a nursing home. Check it out. Here he is. This is what Ron Helton was referring to today. Look at how he's being held as he's walking. He's like out of balance. He seems a little uncoordinated. I know. His balance is off. It could be vertigo from the brain implant that he had installed in his head.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to survive all the way through this whole thing.
Thanks, guys.
Now, why is it he's not wearing his mask now? I thought you Democrats were so very concerned about that mask wearing factor, and now he's going without his mask. Boy, he's being so bold and scary. You just checked your latest tweet, still stuck at 13, didn't take much check. Well, there you go, Space Shuttle. You answered your own question. He does look blind, yeah. I think he may be losing his eyesight too. But that won't stop him. He'll have that earpiece that Donald Trump has where they deliver 5 words at a time. I shut it down. They told me to shut it down. I took the greatest economy in the world and I shut it down. They tell them in the earpiece to say that. Lack of vitamin D is an important issue to talk about with any type of flu virus. But you know that I can't even discuss nutrition and building up personal immunity in our show while I'm YouTube sharing. I'm not providing any nutrition information whatsoever. I'm technically not allowed to. It's one of their guidelines. But I can tell you need to build up your personal immunity. That's more than Joe Biden will tell you. Nobody in the two-party system talks about building up your individual immunity, your health, your sleep, your well-being, your artesian spa. Yeah. I think I might take another dip. I don't know. I loved it too. We decided this year we would dedicate our time to making our spa as nice as possible, and it was down for about a year. Rats got into the line. It was just terrible. We live in an area where it's kind of a rural area, and we had a rat get in there and just start gnawing away at our pipes. Blew holes in all kinds of areas. We went through hell getting it back going. We had to refill the thing 4 times. The 5th time was the lucky charm. We had a lot of pool work to do. I got a new motor, which was due. The motor was 17 years old. I had purchased it used at 10 years old, so I had it for 7 years. I bought a used spa many years ago, and we're trying to, just make it really nice, and it turned out really great. But I'm dealing with that, and we're kind of customizing the whole area. It's a fun spa-cation, part of our staycation plan, where we didn't go anywhere. Last year we went to D.C., and this time last year we were walking around D.C. meeting Patty Murray and Rick Larson, our state representative, U.S. congressman. He insulted me. No, the stinky Honda is worth too much money just sitting in my front yard. It's gone up in value tremendously. Yeah, that vehicle is going to be worth a gold mine someday. It's a shame that you don't want to make a deal, We could easily swap it out for an EcoVan. But no, you don't want to take advantage of that. Carbon monoxide fumes generator killed. Please, Mr. David. Okay, I'll play that lack of vitamin D thing in just a bit. Whoa. Carbon monoxide fumes from a generator, folks, killed a family of 4 in Texas. After Hurricane Hannah knocked out their power, somebody set the generator up in the house. Yeah, bummer. This happens a lot. It happened, there was a family of people, immigrants from Thailand here in Seattle 10 years ago that decided to cook a hibachi in their apartment. They closed the windows, they lit the thing up, and they had a hibachi going, which is a small grill, in the apartment, and they all died. 4 members of a family in Edinburgh, Texas, died of carbon monoxide poisoning from a generator inside their home. Hurricane Hannah knocked out the power of tens of thousands of Texans. Police said one 12-year-old girl survived the poisoning and is in critical condition. Oh, that's so sad. What a horrible loss. Her whole family died. Texas authorities urge residents to never use their generators inside their homes due to the deadly fumes. Wow. Common sense stuff like that, people just don't learn in our day and age. We need to start giving people life skills. Sarah and I have been talking about how it would be great. I don't know any good small radios to listen to. No. I'm not here to get rich. You don't understand. I've made a vow of poverty. That's why I'm so blessed. Eventually, the formula will be known, and even the source of the water will be known, and it will become quite the event. The idea that people are not given life skills is very serious. We think that we should not move in a higher math direction and move toward life skills and money management for kids. I really think, you learn quite a bit in your first 5 years of education. My grandmother had a 5th grade education, and she was the smartest woman in our whole family, really, when you think about it. She raised 5 kids in the middle of the Great Depression. And she had homespun skills like bread making and sewing and all those things that, farm girls do, but she did them really well. And my grandmother literally worked herself to death, too. But she only had a 5th grade education, so there's a lot of people that may just drop out of the system soon because it's not providing high quality education due to the COVID. So it's very likely that young people will need to learn more common skills when they are online or whether they're in person. Wow, Bill Maher is being exposed as a pedophile. Well, I'll look at that tonight. Thank you for that link. That could actually go right with my other one, which is first ladies that were transgenders. Yeah, we have a link we're going to play tonight later. First the doctors, the frontline doctors that's banned on the internet. But then I'm going to play this all first ladies have been trannies. Same guy. Yeah, I haven't played that fully yet, so I don't believe it. I just think it's funny. It's just funny to play. Well, if he admitted it on TV, I want to see that. Thank you. Man eats a wasp nest. Okay, that's a good closer for tonight. Why not? I don't know what his purpose is. Don't do this at home. It could be very deadly.
You wanted him, bitch? Is that who you really wanted? You sure about that? Dun, 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 dun. There he is, bitch. There he is. There he is.
I think he knocked it out of his mouth. But that was an impressive move, man. Man, I when I see wasp nests, I immediately go, and I'm Mr. Organic, right? I'm Mr. Oh, we don't want to use pesticides. The first thing, I wouldn't doubt the guy just keeled over. The first thing I did was grab the pesticide spray. That wasp hornet spray is invaluable. You got to have one container of wasp hornet spray on your property if you have any kind of a building in Washington. Yeah. It works quick. And, you know, it's not that much. It's just you shoot a spot like 10 feet away and it just fires straight at it. And boom, wipes them out. That's one of the problems I had with the pool. It was bad. I had the guy coming out to work on it. And I said, sir, I better check it out and clear the area out. And I'm opening it up and I'm looking in and it's like, oh, there's a bee out there. Luckily, it was a bumblebee. It's like, oh, it's a bumblebee. Oh, okay. Wow. There's another bumblebee. Uh-oh. There's another bumblebee. Oh, there must have been, no, there was a bumblebee. There was an entire nest underneath the swimming spa. It had literally a massive plum of wax. When we finally found it, it was full of wax. This is much wax. At least 100 bumblebees. And they're large, yeah. So, and being I'm so green and I don't like to kill bees, I went for I rinsed them down with the spray the first day. And I got it under control. Yeah, I had to. Soap doesn't cut it. But I only killed about 3 or 4 of them, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm sorry for the bees. But out of 100 bees, most of them got away. Well, I just went ahead and hit them with a wasp spray. It knocked them down, so we got the work done. And I realized, okay, I got them knocked down, and then I opened up the whole thing, and then I found the beehive. And man, I just started hauling everything out. It was massive. But that's what happens when you have a leak and water gets out, and then you try filling it and it keeps leaking. It attracted all these bees. They made their home down there. So I got them all out safely. We moved their nest out. It was all done ethically. Only about 4 or 5 bees died, which was great. Anyway, the work that he did was just phenomenal. So I got the whole thing running. It took me a year to find a qualified serviceman. I was getting the runaround from 2 or 3 people. They just never would come out. You can't get qualified people to do work in my area. It's very difficult. I hear this complaint a lot. But we finally found a good pool guy, and he's really top-notch. So I chose to put a swim spa in because it's something I've always wanted, and it was affordable. We bought it used, and I said, you know, sir, I'm just going to invest in this. It's like a $30,000 feature in a home. And we built a cedar deck, and it's I would say one of the nicest things I've ever had in my life, and it makes my life a lot easier. Because we don't like to COVID space. I stopped swimming in the local pool that we have many years ago. I don't trust the water. I don't trust public water areas. I just don't. It's just weird. Kids urinate in pools, and with the COVID thing, it's just like, I just can't imagine swimming in some public pool right now. Your grandmother is 92 and you miss her already, even though she hasn't passed. How do you deal with death? You move on. Every day you move forward. I know, I saw that, Peturo. Every day you move forward when you deal with someone's death. Dr. Pettit, wonderful story, a horrible story really, but Dr. Pettit was lost his 2 daughters and wife to rapists in Connecticut. Many of you probably remember what happened. Anyway, he was forced to listen to his wife being raped. No, that's a different person. I'm sorry. Dr. Pettit was not home when his wife and 2 daughters were raped by 2 men. And the men admitted that they did it. They burned the house down and killed everybody in the house. And people have asked how he dealt with his loss. I'm not going to show you his full face. It's just, and the loss was so great of losing his 2 beautiful daughters and his wife that he said that the feeling was like a jagged edged hole that he keeps going down every time he thinks about it. And he said there's not a day that goes by where he doesn't think about it all the time. So, it's not easy. Loss is one of those things where it never gets better when you love somebody and you lose them. But with your grandma, it's a little easier because she's had a full life, 92 years. Hopefully she'll live longer. And that alone makes you feel better. But when you see such a tragic loss of life, and the Democrats, Malone, the governor, he had a death penalty that would have killed the 2 people that raped his daughters and wife and then burned the house down. They did have a death penalty, but Beloy suspended it in Connecticut. So the murderers will always live in comfort with 3 hots and a cot and get away with it, and the rest of their life is pretty much, they'll probably get released. They're so liberal in Connecticut. But that's just tragic, and that kind of loss really, it sums it up. It's like a jagged edged hole that you can never, it hurts every time you go back down that hole. I agree with Ron that the treatment that the frontline doctors are offering works with a combination of things. Exactly. It totally, yeah. And even the doctors, and we're going to play this for you right now after the show here. The doctors said that the studies that were used by the FDA to outlaw the drug that we're referring to, those studies are no longer valid. They pulled the studies. They were completely invalid studies. They just came up with mumbo jumbo and they said, oh, people are dying from this, and all of a sudden the FDA pulled it. If Trump was smart, he'd fire the director of the FDA. I would have immediately, and put somebody who was much better. I wouldn't doubt it. Space Shuttle, the millions of people that watch my show and the views that I get on Twitter and YouTube are so extensive that I can't even imagine this not being a massive censorship case. I'm literally the litmus test for censorship in America, and I'll be doing everything as president to stop this. They're not going to get away with this. I see my future stopping these people and using the fairness doctrine to do it. What Facebook has gotten away with, and we saw recently, Veritas did an interview with the people that worked the vaccine at Facebook. They get them in bars bragging about their job, and they get them on videotape. Veritas got the people that do the shadow banning to admit that they shadow ban all the time, even though Mark Zuckerberg says they never do it. Yeah. You know, I think Carl Icahn has made a lot of money on Ricksky. Hey, long time no see, Ricksky. Carl Icahn made a lot of money on the Netflix stock investment. That was huge. He really made a lot of money on that. So now he's buying up all the gambling organizations. Well, you know, it's not a bad move considering our population is getting older, and casinos, they still open up even with COVID. They still bring people in. So the Icahn, yeah, Carl Icahn. Yeah, so if he wants to do that, that's his choice. Frankie said they set the beds of the daughters on fire. I didn't know that part of the story. Wow. Well, I just don't side with these liberal judges that are letting people out. The worst case scenario, a guy in New York, a judge in New York just let a guy out who virtually slugged another man who was a visitor from Florida in the head. And because the guy, big black guy, walked up and saw this visitor from Florida that was just walking around drunk in New York, this happened in 2018. But it was finally the judge finally ruled on it last month. And the black guy who was a high school basketball coach, he didn't get any time at all for slugging the guy and killing him right there on the street. No time at all, just 3 years probation. That to me is ridiculous. And because they're so liberal in New York with de Blasio, the judge stepped right in line and just let the guy get out for killing a white guy walking as a tourist who happened to be drunk in Florida. Walking around, you know, making signs, getting in traffic. Black guy just got out of his car and just slugged him right on the temple and killed him. If you hit a person right in this area, you can kill him. It's terrible. It's a really dangerous area to get hit. This and in here. The trachea can collapse. And there's another area in the nose that could go up into your head if you get like that in a karate move. You don't want to do that. That's a bad move. That'll kill somebody. Yeah, which chin? Barr is the ultimate deep state fixer. He's been around since George H.W. Bush's times. He's a loyal watchdog for the New World Order. He's keeping a control over the whole dialogue about the Russian involvement. And he's got all you Republicans who continue to believe that it's all a Russian hoax. It's amazing how they pulled the wool over your eyes. When there's 448 pages of incriminating evidence out there, 8% of which was redacted, which even makes it more guilty. Trump definitely is working for Putin. And this today, recently, when he decided to pull 12,000 troops out of Germany, it's a Putin move. Total Putin move. Putin doesn't want Germany to have any troops there, so he just ordered Trump to pull the troop strength in NATO. Well, that's it for me, everybody. Thank you for coming into the extended show. I do an extra long show because we get DDoSed and death threats every night. Yeah. And tonight was one of those nights where I got kicked off the internet hard. They really wanted to stop me. So we do the extra time because it's punishment to them and it gives you more time to talk about the issues. I'm signing off for now, but I'll be back tomorrow with Technology Thursday and a cooking show, making Snackmaster things. I was going to make that last week. I'm going to make it tomorrow. I'm bringing out the 1975 Snackmaster, and I'm going to show you how to make Snackmaster items that you could make with any type of a grill, actually. But yeah, check it out. Take care. Bye-bye.
My feet, my heart stops to beat, 'cause you make me melt away. My Mr. Right, too good. Just turn my world around, 'cause you're the peace I find. If you sweep me off my feet, my heart stops to beat, 'cause you make me melt away. to beat, cause you make me melt. You're my Mr. Right, my Mr. Right, too good to be true.